All right. How's it going, everybody? Good evening. I have tried to do something new here. I have split the screen so that way we can see chat live. I think the last live stream I did, I got a comment saying something like what was it? Something like, I can't see your chat window. So could you, is there anything you could do? So what I ended up doing is going back and I downloaded the video. And then I put the time code on it, so I had to screen capture the time code, or not the time code, the chat. I'm starting off great, aren't I? And then basically turn that into a picture-in-picture with the video, and then re-upload it. And I don't know how well it did, but either way, I'm here tonight. How's it going, everybody? I have a long turnover. If you don't know what that is, a turnover is what we have in the film industry when it's your downtime from work. So if you, for example, leave work at, for simplicity, let's say 6 p.m. If you leave at 6 p.m., then, and you're brought back in the next day at 6 a.m., that's 12 hours. That would be a 12-hour turnaround. Or turnaround. What am I saying? Turnover. Jeez, I'm not even getting the terminology right. Can you tell I've been at work today? My brain, to be completely honest, is still fried a little bit. As you know, just got through yesterday releasing the big BPTRX video, and that was a big one for me. And it has taken me over a month, nonstop work, to get that thing done. And my brain is still kind of frazzled, to be completely honest, because last night I went to sleep and only slept like 6 hours the night before. I think I slept 4. And I still haven't played catch up, and we've been working in the sun the past 2 days. So let me not say turnover this time. Let me say turnaround. A turnaround is, in the film industry, the amount of downtime you have overnight, basically. So if we get off at work at 6 p.m. and we're brought back in the next day at 6 a.m., that's a 12-hour turnaround. If they bring us in the next day at 8 a.m., that's a 14-hour turnaround. If we finish work at, let's say, 4 p.m. and they bring us back in at 6 a.m., that's also 14-hour turnaround. So that's the way a turnaround works. You have a minimum, depending on your contract. Actors, I think they have a 12-hour turnaround, or they can get certain penalties for, which is additional pay and stuff for basically coming in early. And then if you are a crew member, then it's usually a minimum, I think, of 9 or 10 hours, depending on the contract, if memory serves. And then some jobs, like a director of photography, I think it's 11. I could be mistaken on that, but I believe that's about the way it is. But anyway, so today we were shooting in the sun, second day in a row in the sun. So I was in sun mode, as you saw in the video, a week from Monday. And we actually had a pretty nice, big, huge silk spread over the set. So I think it was about a 40 or 50 by 50 square. So for the most part, there was trees around. I could stay under that. So I didn't have to go into full, head cover mode. I did put the hood on sometimes because at some points later in the day, the sun would go in through the trees and I'd end up covering up. But anyway, my turnaround, we got off work tonight at about 6:30. We don't have to be in tomorrow until 5 p.m. So we're off for about 22 and a half hours. So that is a long turnaround. That turnaround is the reason why I'm doing this live stream. We'll see how late we go. If the questions keep coming, if there's a lot of people interested in asking questions, because that's why I wanted to do this. I haven't done one in a while, and my brain has not been in proper mode for doing any kind of a live stream for a while. So I didn't want to do one for, really until I finished the BPTRX video, because that has been the majority of what I've been doing pretty much every evening. Probably about maybe 5 days out of a week for over a month have I been doing that video. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but there was a lot to test, and I didn't even test it all. I did a lot I did a big list, and every time I came up with a new idea, I'd write it down this list, and I have not done everything yet. And I, at this point, don't want to go anywhere near it, because I spent over a past month, pretty much at least 5 days a week, couple hours a night doing one thing or another. On the weekends, it was sometimes it would be like, in order to do the 24-hour test, for example, I wanted to make sure that I had at least 13 hours concurrent. And so what I did was I recorded it. I started at like 11 a.m. and I set a timer for every hour. And so I made sure that if I left, I did not go away for more than an hour. So I would hit record and record about 30 seconds every hour while the time code was still running and everything. I'd turn off the camera, and then I would turn the camera back on an hour later when my alarm would go off 58 minutes later. I'd turn it on, I'd look at the time code, and then I would say, okay, I'm going to make sure everything is ready to go. I would not touch the audio or anything like that. I just had the camera in the same position, and then I hit record for about 30 seconds, and that way you could see the changeover. And I think I did that for 12 hours in a row, and then I was so exhausted. I think I delayed. It was something like I did 12 hours, then I think it was like 18, 12 hours, 13, something like that. And then I skipped like 6 hours because I went to bed. I did it right before I went to bed. And then I got up like 6 hours later and did it again, and then said, okay, well, that was 18 hours and then 24 hours. Now, granted, you should rejam at that point. I mean, most of the time people will rejam time code about once every 3 to 6 hours, depending on who the mixer is and what they want to do with their team. Some people will say you got to rejam every 3 hours. I don't know of a mixer that really does the 3 hour thing anymore. Time code has always been reliable, but people haven't always trusted it with the cameras and stuff. So they've said, oh, we're going to rejam. Let's see. Oh, geez, I'm going to butcher your name. I do apologize. Giovanni Ellis. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Unless it's a Havani. Giovanni Ellis, that was a great video on the DD, by the way. Really helped me in perspective of it to purchase them. That's one of those things where it's very difficult. I was talking to someone about this last week. It's very difficult to be completely honest for some people because there's a feeling of you don't want to burn a bridge with a company. I understand some people who will do a review and they're going to try to keep that company happy. And so they'll say things. They won't just completely burn an item. If it's bad, they won't completely just praise it. They won't really say anything bad about it. And they just want to keep getting free stuff. Well, I've never been about that. Believe me, I have enough gear. Now, I'm not like Bandrew, who buys every microphone in the world because he wants it. I'm not like Curtis that buys things because you do tutorials and videos about it. I will occasionally buy something. Well, I say that. I buy a lot of stuff just to destroy on the channel or just to do for like one video, and then I'm like, what in the world am I going to ever do with this thing? Like, if you recall, I put the Beta 87A versus the Beta 58A. That video, I bought a $250 Beta 87A, and I don't even know where it is. I did the video, I put it on the table over there, and I don't know what I did with it after that. It's probably still over there. I could have put it in a drawer. I don't know where the thing is. I did the ribbon microphone, the things you shouldn't do to a ribbon microphone video. I found the ribbons recently. They're over there, but that was like almost $400, and I did it because I wanted to do a video where I did everything you're not supposed to do. A lot of the time, that's the kind of thing that I will do just because it speaks to me, and it's something I decided to do. Like, I did not need to probably use this DA35 adapter in the video and buy the resistors, the 2.2K resistor, which you can see it's still set up in that mode. If I plugged it in right now, it would be dead quiet because it's basically a resistor that does not pass audio. There's no audio load. But I could untwist it now, pull the thing out, and restore it back to the way it originally was because it's a microdot. It's a good adapter. But there we go. So this will be trashed. I should sell it on eBay and see if anybody wants to buy it. But nobody's going to, because you can buy it. I bought like a kit with a whole bunch of different ones in there. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, so I'm the kind of person that I like certain companies. I do like Deity. I think that they're a very fast-moving company, though. I think that they are very in tune with a lot of different things. As I said in the video, I think that they can get a little bit hasty sometimes because they're just so fast paced. But I do really like the company. I do like what they do, and I don't. If I do need to say something bad, I try to make it educational. Like the Really Rice Stuff video I did, the Boom. Like I said, how that is there was not a bad thing. It was not made poorly. There was not anything wrong with the way it was built. It just wasn't what a boom pole should be. And after I said that, I did the video, and I basically made sure that people knew what a boom pole should be. So if anybody ever says to me, well, why shouldn't I do that with a boom? What should I do instead? I can only say, well, watch the Really Rice Stuff video. I pretty much go into it. And that would hopefully be a benefit to them if they ever decided they were going to tweak their booms out, because, they're a good company. They're an American company in Lehi, Utah, and they have a good head on them. They basically manufacture their own products in-house, and I think they only source the carbon fiber locally. But they did a great job, I thought, making the boom pole. It just wasn't what we would want. And so that's kind of the mentality I had with the Deity. I had talked to Kevin, Basic Filmmaker, and Curtis Judd about basically doing it where Kevin would approach his video to that he does on kind of from the perspective of what he is as a filmmaker or as a consumer user. And then Curtis would obviously, because of his pro background, he would approach it from more of a pro perspective. But then I would dive deep into the technical, and if anybody had that kind of interest, then I would do that. And to date, if you're looking up for a video from either one of them, they have not released them as of now. But my video is a deep dive in the technical. But some of that stuff could be firmware updated. As a matter of fact, the Deity has been in contact with me and telling me that they were going to make some changes. Sometimes it's just one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And I don't know that they did some of the testing that I did. And so that gave them some insight, and they're able to call their engineers and make some changes. So probably you're going to see some firmware updates that are going to change some stuff if it's possible. I mean, that's just my assumption. Deity is a very fast-moving company. So anyway, but there you go. Let's read some comments. Deity still needs to add the Pressmas in the feature. It wouldn't be bad. It would not be a bad feature. They could easily add that in a firmware update. I enjoyed your Audio Basics series. Are you planning to add more in the future? Maybe one on frequencies C? I don't know what that means. Maybe one on frequencies. If it's just maybe one on frequencies, I've talked about frequencies before in different ways. I've done videos, for example, if you watch Overtones, Harmonics, and the Human Voice, I talk about frequency ranges and certain things like that. In my Laurel versus Yanni, my 3-minute version, I go into how you can speak the same language, like English, but because of the way that you say certain words and you're used to hearing certain words, you're going to interpret those words differently. So I may say, it's also just different. Like we have sausages. So if we say sausage, then they would say bangers. And my mother-in-law, for example, she's English. And when she would come, I first met her, I would be going to the grocery store, and I lived near them. And I would go to the grocery store, and she'd say, "Oh, you're at the grocery store?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Could you get me?" And she would name a couple of things, but she would tell me it in British English. And I'm like, "What is that?" And she's like, "Just go, just look in the corner of the store, go into the produce section, and you'll find it, and you'll see it, and then you could just grab a couple, and then go to aisle 8 or something like that, and find the other thing." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm looking for the names that she told me, and they did not exist. I think one of them was rhubarb, or maybe it was whatever it was. There was like a name, green sprouts or something like that was the American version of it. And so I was like looking, and I'm like walking all over the place. I'm like, what is she? And so I would go up and ask people whatever it was, and they were like, don't know what that is. And then finally I would find it, and I'm like, it's not called that at all. And so then I would be frustrated. I'd go to the next aisle, And like, I remember the second thing. I don't remember the first thing. But the second one is she wanted me to grab pop socks. I'm like, what in the world are pop socks? She's like, oh, it's just right across from the, she tells me where it is. And I'm looking, I'm like, pop socks. What is that? Could not find it for anything. And it's driving me insane looking over everything. And she told me exactly where it was. So I call her up and I'm frustrated at this point because I'd asked customer service, like, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't sell socks. I'm like, no, it's supposedly on whatever aisle 14 or whatever it was. And it's called pop socks. She's like, have you ever heard of that? Have you ever? And we had no idea what it was, but it ends up being that what it is pantyhose. So she was asking me to grab her some pantyhose because I guess the British, they put these things on and they pop when you put them on. And so they're called pop socks to them, at least some places, if not all. But I had never heard that term before, and neither had anybody at Kroger. So I spent over an hour there looking for 2 items, and she kept saying, it's right there. How could you not know where it is? This is like almost like 18 years ago. So anyway, my point is here, sometimes people will be speaking the same language, American, Australian, British, all these different countries, they will use different words sometimes, and they'll also enunciate different syllables differently, or they'll do an O sound instead of an A sound. Or like if I were to say, this is my daughter, and then someone from Australia would say, this is me daughter, perhaps. They would just use a different word. But also the way that they would shape their E versus an O and an A and all those sounds would sound different, and it may make my mind say, well, that's not the word I interpret and decode. Well, the reason I'm mentioning all this is because sometimes there's, you know what, I totally forgot where I was going with this whole thing. Just that's me at this point. My brain is totally fizzled out. Let me answer some of these questions. Audio Basic series, maybe one on frequencies. Oh, that's what it was. I was talking about how different words, when they're said by people of different cultures, they will actually mean different things, and just the way that you shape certain syllables will mean different words and whatever. As for the Audio Basic series, I have to think of something else to do. It's very easy. My whole intention was to keep those videos under 10 minutes. And I can prep some material. The first video, I think, was around 10 minutes. The second video was something like 20, wasn't it? It was like 23 minutes, 22 minutes. And I remember looking at it saying, geez, that was deeper dive than I meant to go into. But, I do research this to make sure that that I can stay on topic and use the examples I want to. I don't have to research the topics as much, but what I will do is I'll research, perhaps I'll perhaps see like where certain lines are drawn. If, for example, I'm talking about frequencies, I'll say, well, do I want to talk about auditory frequencies, or do I want to talk about frequencies with regards to wireless? Because if I go into wireless, then I might cover frequencies with regard to wireless. But then should I cover the frequencies with regards to the human voice and cover wireless as well and talk about it, how they're connected and something like that? That's the kind of thing that I'll have to look at and kind of draw lines. And then I'll have to say, well, should I do this and get into this, or should I not? And have to figure it all out. Anyway, Booms. Yeah, I have to watch that video. I have basic questions about the latest Gitzo Booms and how to evaluate for my needs. The basic thing about it is, number one, is a boom long enough? Is it heavy? Is it light? How does it feel in your hands? That's a big thing. The boom pole is an extension of you. If you put a boom in your hands, you want it to feel very comfortable. You want it to feel like something that moves the way you want it to. If you use a very, very stiff boom pole, for example, it may be heavy. Jeez. Why is it whenever I'm in here, I always have an itchy nose? Itchy nose. So, sorry about that. So if I get a boom pole in my hand and it's extremely responsive, I can snap it exactly where I want it to go. That to me makes me happy. If I use a boom pole that is more wobbles when I snap, it kind of has to find its position. It'll be lighter. It may bow more than I want to. It may not snap the way I want it to, and that could throw me off because, sure, I could use it. I could boom with it, but it's not really what's going to make me happy. So that's the kind of thing that I will usually look at is how the thing handles in my hands, because I want it to feel good. Also, one of the things you want to listen for and look for is proper cabling. If you have like an internally coiled cable boom, but you're using a plug-on transmitter, then you may want to have either a boom that you can convert to have no cable on the inside, and that way you can put the transmitter on the end, or you may have the internal coiled cable going through the middle and then put the transmitter on the opposite end, so that way it kind of counterweights the boom a little bit. There's different options there, but there are also different cabling options too. If you don't cable your boom at all, and then you go to day play or you go to work for somebody that uses an MM1 to a transmitter, for example, then you may end up having to externally wrap your boom, and if you're not used to that, it's going to be a learning curve. It could throw you. So the way it feels in your hands, the way it responds when you snap it, you could argue that price is an important thing. Aluminum is going to be extremely cold in cold weather. It's going to be like metal, because it is. Carbon fiber is not going to be nearly as cold and bone chilling, so you won't need to wear gloves. But at the same time, you have to think about price too. If you're buying your first boom pole and you don't have a whole lot of money to spend, because you mainly do indies and might not get a whole lot of money for your boom, if you get a kit rental at all. So at that point, you might need to look at it from the cost perspective. But then how long are you going to keep it? If you're going to plan on doing a project, maybe boom once or twice a year, and it might be for a week, you may not need to go ahead and drop $1,000 on a good premium boom pole. You may be fine with a couple $100 boom. So there's a whole bunch of factors to consider there with regards to it. But usually what I look at is the way it snaps, the way it feels in my hands. I like, personally, I like thinner booms, but some people like, booms that you can't necessarily wrap a finger around, or ones that give you more to hold. Everybody has their own preferences. Some people boom with gloves, some people boom without gloves. Some people prefer longer segments, longer and fewer segments. Some people prefer fewer or more segments, but fewer and fewer and shorter in length. So that way it extends out longer, but it collapses down less. So a whole lot of things to consider there. The main thing is to just think about it as, does it do what you want it to do? And does it respond well in your hands? Is it quiet when you put a microphone at the end of it and you run it out to your mixer? How do your hands respond to it? Is it just every single little bitty move you do? Is it like this? Or is it, you could be tapping it, it's dead quiet. Booms are bit different also in the way that it works for me versus the way it works for you. My hands may slide more on one because I have drier hands, or maybe I have oilier hands, but my hands could respond totally different to a boom. If I wear gloves, if I don't wear gloves, it matters. So things to think about there. I think I talk about it in my 3BO video on what to look for in a boom pole, because I'm a big advocate for not necessarily I don't want to say be brand loyal, but if you do not have an ideal boom for you, be open to them. Make sure you try the Gitzo. Make sure you try the Rode. Make sure you try the Ambient and the PSC and the K-Tech and the Loon. Well, not Loon necessarily anymore since it's no longer a thing. The Pandemic. Make sure you try the VDB. Try all the different ones if you can. Get your hands on them and see which one you like the best. Because if you spend a couple of $100 on a boom and you're only going to use it once or twice a year, fine. But if it's going to be the tool that you use every single day for months on end for years, spend the money, get yourself a good premium boom pole. And if you don't have the money to spend it outright, but you can do payment, some pro sound shops will sell them to you and work out a payment arrangement for 6 months or something like that with you if you don't have the money to spend it outright on a boom. But the big question also is, are you going to get rental? Because if you are not going to get rental on that, is it something that you really want to spend money on? For years, I did not have a boom. And then when I got my own boom, I worked for a mixer who, no matter what show I did, I never got a kit rental. And then when I was on that show about 4 years in, that pole got damaged badly. It got destroyed. And the mixer was just like, well, it sucks. And I'm like, well, I'm going to L&D this. No, don't L&D this. We've not had any L&D on this show. I don't want to have any now. I'm like, well, how do I replace this thing? I got pretty irate. I was like, how am I going to replace this thing? Well, just buy another one. Have to buy another one. I mean, you've used it, 4 years? I'm like, yeah, but it's not dead yet. It wasn't dead yet. I need to actually, get a replacement for this boom. I was not happy. Mixer then said, well, what if I gave you $200 towards it? I was pretty irate because I had used my boom extensively for that mixer, and it was exclusively. I had not worked for another mixer in like 4 years, and since I got that pole, so I was pretty irate, and I was not happy with that. So I didn't really say anything for a while, but then I went over to the sound cart, and the mixer said to me, so do you, I mean, does it seem fair to you that I give you $200? And I looked at him and I said, honestly, no. And he said, why not? He said, it was yours, and, you didn't, you didn't have to bring it in or whatever. I'm like, I brought in my own stuff. You never put it on your insurance. I said, I've had the pole for, at the time, I don't even think I thought about the insurance now that I think about it. But at the time, I was like, I've been using this in rain. I've been using it in bad weather, in cold weather, in hot weather, in all the time. And then it gets damaged on a show. You won't give me the ability to replace the parts that are damaged. You won't give me a chance to replace it with an L&D. So you're preventing me from replacing it. And then you never once got me a kit rental, even though whenever I would work for any other mixer, they always got me a kit rental, even day playing or whatever. And it's like, well. And so he looked over the utility and said, does it seem fair to you? And the utility just turned and looked at him and says, no, it doesn't. He said, he bought it. He's been using it on your show, so yours hasn't been damaged, and he's been maintaining it. And, he's done very good work for you. So considering that you've not damaged yours and he's been using his and his got totaled, it's very reasonable for him to be frustrated that when you won't let him even, L&D it, which L&D is lost and damage. So you'd fill out a report. If something gets damaged on a show, you would fill it out and production would recover the cost of it because it's under rental. If you have a kit, like a boom kit, they are not necessarily obligated to, but the better shows will usually say, yes, it's under this show. We'll go ahead and replace it for you anyway. Anyway, though, ultimately the mixer decided that he liked me and he wanted to keep me happy, and he understood my frustrations, and he said, you know what, I'll go ahead and cover it. So he was a little bitter about it, but he did buy me a replacement boom. So yeah, cool. All right. Alan is Mr. Deep Dive. American Liberty, thank you, sir. Now we're 14 minutes away from my chat here. Question: what technical skills should a first-time sound utility have? What should their professional relationship with a boom operator, sound mixer, and cast be like? Ooh, you're talking about set etiquette. And that's a great question. Here's the thing. You have to be a people person. Or if not, you have to put on the show. Because the sound utility, they obviously have to understand cabling. They have to understand how to put on lavs. They have to understand. Actually, I do have a sound utility class. Now that it just occurred to me, Giovanni, it's like a 5-hour thing that I did, and I sold it. I sold it last year, and I think it was like 3 hours, and then I do some questions and answers, and then I show a bunch of pictures that connect the dots and stuff like that. That is available if you are interested. Shoot me an email or something like that. And my email is listed underneath this video. It's right below in the description, and you can email me there if you're interested. It's $50. And some people might say, oh, yikes, $50. Well, you've seen my videos. I do a very streamlined. I've taught this class many times in the past, a sound utility class. I had to omit the stuff that I would teach in person. Like, in person, what we would always do is we would hire actors and we'd bring them in to with wardrobes, and they would change in and out of different types of clothes, and we would have the students practice laving them. As part of that, we would have to go through the set etiquette and everything like that. But there's two things. Number one is that sound utility class is $50, and you can email me if you're interested in that, and I can set you up. The other thing is there is a video that I did, and if somebody wants to link it down here, feel free to. Nick, if you want to, I've just added you as a moderator. So If you want to find that the video, Petrushka Miroslav is a 4-decade-long sound person, and she is amazing. And she wrote a very detailed book called Behind the Sound Cart. And I did a video about it, and I had her do a record a segment for it that was in that. Her book is very detailed. It goes into a lot of different things. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on basically pretty much, I think you can buy it on any online store that sells books. But it is extremely detailed. It's very good. I have a copy. Yes, I have a paperback copy there. I have the Kindle version. And I don't recall if she has a hardback version or not, but I said that if she comes out with another version, I will buy it to support her. So if she has a hardback version out there, I'll buy it as soon as I'm aware of it. But there's a lot of skills you got to have. I go into it all in that sound utility class, and it without me getting into it for the next hour, let's just leave it at that and say there's a lot of skills. You have to be knowledgeable about some things. You have to be a people person. You basically have to be able to, if the sound mixer needs to step out to make a phone call to line up another show, you have to be able to step in the mixing console, step in and record. If the boom operator has an upset stomach and has to run to the restroom, you have to be able to jump in there and boom. So you have to have skill sets like that, or to come in there for a second boom, which is quite often. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that skill sets you might have to have. You might have to. Thank you, Nick. You might have to properly pad someone's shoes, or quiet down a door that's squeaky, or bring out some acoustic foam and pad it and dampen a room that's big and echoey. There's a whole bunch of things that you would need to be aware of as a sound utility, and there's a lot of skill to that job. It's very interesting to me that it's considered still the entry-level job into the sound department, because really there is no entry-level position. What there are is introductory levels where you're not going to go and work on, a $100 million budget movie first out of the gates. What you're probably going to have to do is work your way up through low budget shows and then Craigslist shows, and then you're going to maybe do a commercial here or there, and then slowly work your way up, and then eventually you're going to be working on bigger shows, and then bigger shows, then maybe join the union, then work your way up through there. But the thing about it is, you work over the course of time, you build up your skill sets without making too many mistakes, hopefully, along the way. If you make mistakes at the beginning part, it's very easy when you're green to make mistakes on small shows, because they can't really get that angry at you because they're either not paying you or they're paying you $100 a day and you're working 16 or 18 hours. I have a video about avoiding indie abuse. That's Avoid Indie Abuse is a video all about what to say in the indie circuit to prevent being abused and taken advantage of. But the reason I mention it now is because there's a lot of people who will allow themselves to be taken advantage of because they want the knowledge. They want to learn. Being a PA is another great way of getting your foot in the door. That way you can start to meet people and learn the positions and stuff, and you'll learn a lot as a PA. But you also have to be pretty level-headed and not be emotional, because that's the one department that pretty much is calm regarding almost anything. They'll be like a first AD will scream at the crew if the crew is being noisy during a take or something, annoying an actor. But for the most part, PAs are never going to do that, or they won't last very long. But there are my main point here is that there is really no entry level position into the sound department, even though technically it's the sound utility. You have to have a lot of skills. And Petrushka's book, Behind the Sound Cart, in my sound utility class, which is about a 5-hour long, it's in lecture form. I sit down and we just start talking. And I did this live with people that were watching it, who I sold the class, and there were some people that watched it live. And when they had a question, I brought them on screen to ask the question, or at least had them ask it. And then I would answer, and as soon as they were satisfied, I'd remove them. But anyway, that class is there available, and you can also watch the video that Nick posted there with regards to Petrushka's book. So, without getting into really too much detail about this. All right, American Liberty. I'm not sure how your other subscribers feel about this, but I'm very leery about benefits for us that may distract others from jumping in. Like this member-only 5-minute thing. Okay, so I guess that means American Liberty that well, I think that's like what that is if you're the reason I turned that on is because I've seen other people do live streams, and it basically is for subscribers. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, ask a question. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, then you can choose to join if you want, but there's a 5-minute window there that if you join the channel and you're there for 5 minutes, and then you can ask a question. That's the reason why I turned it on and only put it to 5 minutes, because to me, that was like, I would rather concentrate more on the audio stream's current bit rate 0 is lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use an audio stream bit rate of 128 kilobits per second. My current audio bit rate is 0? This is what YouTube just told me. I don't know if my audio has gone completely to garbage. But anyway. So anyway, that's the reason why I have it on there right now. If you're a subscriber, by all means, I'd like to prioritize your question. If you're not a subscriber, my subscribers usually ask enough questions to keep me going. And if not, then, I did this as a test to see. And it may be a bit frustrating. It's something I'm deciding to do to see how it goes. It seems to be that there's a lot of subscribers in here that are interacting. So I have no regrets personally. And yeah, if you want to watch, cool. If you want to watch and not be subscribed, by all means. But if you want to ask a question, then I'd prefer to prioritize subscribers. But as long as you've been subscribed at least 5 minutes, you can ask something. So anyway, that's why I did that. Leery about benefits for you. So I understand that, American Liberty, but at the same time, I figured that if I set it to instant, like, you could be a subscriber for any amount of time. If somebody wanted to, they could subscribe, write their question down, unsubscribe instantly. And it's like, well, what's the point then? If you want to ask a question, I don't mind answering your questions. Firsthand, I'll answer questions to the best of my ability. And if not, I have people that I can ask, or resources that I could send you to. But it's like, I don't think it's a whole lot to ask that I prioritize on the questions of subscribers if this is a live stream. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Have you ever worked with voiceover actors before? Yeah. Any crazy stories with actors? Oh, well, there are some voiceover actors that will work on like cartoons, they'll work on animations, and then they'll have like a face appearance, like they'll book an acting job. And they're fine. Usually what will happen is you'll have crew members like, I recognize their voice. What's that from? What's that from? And then someone will IMDb him and they'll be like, oh, he did the voice of this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and they'll just go down thing. And some actors will, make a very good living just doing voiceovers and stuff. And then you put them on camera and they're fine. But as for crazy stories, I mean, with actors in general, there's a lot of them. But as for specifically the voiceover actors, really nothing rings the bell to me. Those stories I can think of right now. Opinions on secondhand mics. Depends. I'm going to say depends, and here's why. It depends completely on how they're managed, how they're managed to be maintained. Like, also, if it's a discontinued mic, the only way you're going to get it is if someone sells it. So, for example, I'm not going to go deep into it, but when I went out to visit Bandrew, we were talking about different microphones, obviously. And I mentioned one, and he said, oh, is that the one that, and then he starts telling me about it. He goes in the other room, comes in with a case, opens it up, and he has two of them right there. I'm like, they've discontinued this in like the 80s or the 90s. What are you doing with them? He's like, well, I saw somebody online selling them, and it was a good deal, so I thought I'd buy them. I'm like, dude, it was awesome. He happened to have them there because we were talking about them. And, I mean, he was so nice. He even said, you want one? I'm like, no, The reason why is because the case that it was in had cutouts. It was cut out for 2 of this microphone, and it's not a normal shape microphone. So I was like, no, this should be, if you gave me one, you would need to have something else to put there. And it needs to be these, they need to be as a set. So I told him, you got to keep those as a set because it makes perfect sense. Anyway, but if it's a discontinued microphone, the only way you're going to get it is if you buy it brand new, if you buy it used from somebody. And in that case, you have to ideally check it in person or have some sort of a warranty. If you buy it from some place like Vintage King or through some seller that has a return policy, then that's great because you can easily do that. Now, I've done videos in the past where I talk about going to visit people. And if you go and you buy a microphone from them in person, make sure you carry something like, at the very least, geez, itchy nose, something like a Saramonic or an HDTX, a Deity. And that way you can take your headphones and plug the microphone in and test it there on the spot. Because they may say, oh yeah, it works, trust me. I bought a microphone from eBay. It was the AKG C535EB. Has a reputation for being a good sounding microphone. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy it just because, why not? And I bought it from a guy that had 12 of them, and he apparently only checked like a few of them, and then was like, oh yeah, these are all gonna work just fine. But he hadn't used them in a long time, and mine was the last one to sell. And he sold it to me, and it was buzzing and fizzing and not making very good sounds. It was popping in and out. And so I wrote back and I said, dude, this didn't really seem to be working the way you described. You said it was in perfect working order. And I made him a quick video where I said, this is me with the microphone plugged in. I want you to listen. And I unplugged the microphone that was working just fine, and I plugged it right in on the screen to his microphone. And then I demonstrated it. And I said, so it's not working as described. And he was like, okay, yeah, you caught me on that. I have 12 of these that I was selling. I tested, they all sounded about the same. I tested a bunch of them, and then he said I tested probably 5 of the 12, and they were all fine. So I said, you know what, if those 5 are fine, then they're probably all fine. But he says, yeah, you know what, you tell me what you'd like to do. You want to return it? And I said, well, I do like the microphone. You did sell it to me for a decent price. Let me ask you something here, because it was like a couple $100 or something like that. I said, would you be willing, because he said, I'll give you your money back if you want. And I said, let me ask you this, because you what would you do with it? And he says, I wouldn't be able to sell it. I'd just probably throw it away. And I said, okay, well, let me ask you this. Let me find out how much it would be to get it repaired. And so AKG is now owned by Harman, or at least it was at the time. So I reached out and I asked them what would be the repair cost, and they said it would be as little as like $30, and as most that it would cap at like 145 or something like that. And that was the maximum. So I sent the guy the thing. I said, I will send it off to get repaired if it works for you, if you agree to pay the repair cost out of the sale. And he says, dude, I'm happy with that because, I at least get some money out of it. And so if you want to get it repaired, that's fine. I'll gladly do that. And I said, cool. So I reached out to them. I started the process. I sent it to them. They did the repair. It was not done exactly entirely right. There were some issues with it. And I reached back out to them and I said, and he was true to his word. He did. I sent him, forwarded him the invoice, and he turned around and PayPal'd me that exact amount. And so I was like, all right, cool. Thank you. And it was done. He pocketed like $50 or whatever it was. And I pocketed, a working microphone that was in perfect working order, restored, after I reached back out to them and said, this wasn't repaired correctly. There's this video, there's this wrong with it, this wrong with this. And I did a video about it and sent it to them, sent the link. And he said, well, send it back in and we'll look at it again. And he said, if you want to, but it's not, I don't know what it's going to do, or, what we're going to do differently, because it sounds fine. I'm like, it doesn't sound fine. The noise floor is extremely high. I showed him that if you touch it, that it was buzzing. And he's like, well, that's the way it is. I'm like, it's not the way it is. Your microphones don't have floating grounds like this. So I was like, I basically, and when he was like, well, you can send it in and we'll look at it, but it'll probably be like 6 weeks. I was pretty frustrated by that. So at that point, I was like, you know what? And at that point, I took it to Twitter, and I tweeted Harman with the video, I think it was, or something to that nature. And I said, I sent this to you. I got charged the full amount for the repair, and it's not even fixed properly. Oh, and they got me really quickly. Responded to it with a direct message, and they said, "Sir, we are so sorry about this. I will make sure that this is handled. Here's an RMA number, and send it to this, and I'll make sure it's personally handled and expedited." Sent it in. That person got it done, and it was back to me in like a week and a half, and it was in perfect working order. Then they even replaced the sponge on the inside of the microphone windscreen and everything. That thing was practically like brand new. I mean, it even smelled good, like it was new. So, I mean, it probably was gutted, and they repaired everything they needed to. And I mean, I've had no complaints, but I used it like 2 videos, and it's been sitting in a drawer over there. That's why I say I don't need to buy anything more. If a manufacturer, the deal that I have is that I say that if you want to send me something to review, I spend so much time testing it, and I spend so much time prepping the reviews and stuff. You saw the BPTRX video. You saw the Really Right stuff. You've seen my reviews in the past. I spend a lot of time on those things. They don't pay me to do those. They send me their product. And so what I say is, look, in exchange for a fair and honest assessment, which I say it is my choice, and I am direct. And if I find something, I will report it. And they know that. A lot of companies will send me stuff because they want my blessing, though. They want my thumbs up. And some companies will send me something, and they're like, yikes. Or they'll say, okay, well, we can fix those or work with that or whatever. But that's the deal is I'm very, very picky about the manufacturers that I work with. Now, I do have one boom pole that got messed up from COVID. COVID messed up their manufacturing facility and their ability to get parts. And when they do get it in, they're going to be sending it to me. I have another, probably the next review I do is going to be that one right there, which is going to be a K-Tech boom pole, which you've seen in a couple of videos. I still owe that one to K-Tech. That's going to be the next video I work on. Next review I work on, because I want to do that one proud. And then I have a couple of products from a manufacturer. There's one that they're going to be sending me in the next couple of weeks, and there's one they're going to be sending me next month, maybe 2 of them next month. It depends. And I will very, very, I don't know what that means. American Liberty. Don't grind while on camera. I don't think you mean to dance. But anyway, it might be my hand, because my hand has been bothering me. I tore some skin on it earlier. Anyway, there's a couple of manufacturers that I reached out to, and if one of them was like, well, we're a pay-to-play company, if you want to, and they said we don't get a lot of value out of reviews because people, what they'll do is they will, they're never really honest. And I said, oh, that's not something you have to worry about with me. You're going to you're going to expect an honest review from me, because if it's a good product, then I'll say it is. If I find any issues or something like that with it, then I'll let you know. But you can expect that from me. And if a company gets angry and for whatever reason, it's something I say, sorry. And what I will tell people is, you guys, the viewers, subscriber base, the people that have joined as a member on the channel, everybody who watches these videos, y'all are my customers. Y'all are the people I want to keep happy. Those are the people that I want to actually, keep around. Those are the people that really matter. To me, manufacturers are awesome. It's really cool when they want to send out products for a review or whatever. I don't accept them all. And if I accept something, they understand that they're sending it to me in exchange for that review, because they're not going to want to pay me an hourly rate to review it. Now, I am also a consultant. I even told I've told this to a few different companies recently, that if you would like my input, I'm available for hire. You can send me something. I will break it down. I'll test the thing to death. I will then give you a good, honest assessment from different perspectives. So that way you'll know what it is that that my thoughts are, what a professional would see, what the thoughts process would be, and that kind of thing. So and some companies have chosen to compensate me, and I've helped some companies to produce better products. Some companies I've killed products by telling them it's not worth it. It's not going to be good. It's not going to make money. People aren't going to like it, and it's not worth salvaging. You can back to the drawing board you go. I think I said in one video. I said, so back to the drawing board you go. I mean, this product is garbage. I said, no one's going to want to buy this. And 5 days later, they killed it. But anyway, my point here is that I'm very picky about the videos I do, because I prefer to do videos on the educational stuff. It doesn't take me forever to do. And I'm very detailed in my reviews. So I think I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, how far? I'm half an hour behind in my chat. Aren't I brilliant? Okay, let's see here. Opinion on secondhand mics, though. If it basically check the condition of it before you buy it. Itchy Nose Dusty Booth. You know what? It's funny because I'll do my videos and I do not understand, because I have taken a vacuum this is not a dusty wall. There's no dust on that. There's no dust here. I take wipes over, with microfiber cloth over my monitors and over everything in here. I don't know where the dust little particles that float around in my video, I don't know where those things come from. And I will be standing in there and I'll see something backlit and I'm like, all right, where did you come from? And I'm looking around and I don't see anything. If I blow like that, nothing blows away because it's all clean. I don't know where those things come from. But anyway, yes, my nose gets itchy and I don't know why. All right. Very helpful info on those things. I'll watch the Really Right Stuff video. Also, watch my video. I know, Lloyd, this was a half hour ago. Lloyd, also one thing you can do is watch my video on, it's a part of the 3BO series. You can find it in the playlist. It's called like what to get with a boom pole, what you need to know about a boom pole. That will help you also. Favorite boom is the Fisher. They are fun. I've never used one, but I've certainly I've seen them in action. They are pretty awesome. The fact that you can sit down and control in and out and cue the microphone there and back and whatever, and don't have to hold the thing. You have a monitor with all the different screens coming in there, and you just, cue the microphone and you go in and out, and you're sitting there the whole time. You're not killing yourself trying to hold it over people for a long take or anything. It's pretty awesome. Yes, Nick has the power. He now has the wrench by his name. Okay, with great power comes great responsibility for error. Hopefully the correct link. Oh, geez. You're going to make me have to check the link? I'm sure it's fine. Nick, I'm sure it's fine. If you did it, I'm sure it's great. Okay. I filled in for a PA recently. First time doing that. Great experience. Okay, cool. Sunrise Water Media. PAs is a very thankless job, man. Very low paid, and work long hours, but they're very dedicated. And they're awesome people usually. I like PAs. Especially, I'll send you another little interesting note here. Keep your PAs happy. Don't ever be mean to a PA. Not just because it's a jerk thing to do, but because PAs, they're going to, at some point, if they stick with it, they'll go into another department, or they're going to become DGA and become a first AD, a producer perhaps, that hires you or doesn't. And you don't want to make a PA hate you when that person goes off to become a producer and they're like, oh, I remember this guy. He was a jerk to me when I was a PA. They may look at it and say, oh, geez, I was clueless back then, but they're probably not going to. They're going to just remember that you weren't nice to them. Anyway, don't want to be a jerk. Thanks for that also, Nick, for posting the video. There you go. If you are still interested in that, Lloyd, go check that video out that Nick just posted. Okay. Let me see if I can get through these. What are you doing? Click the button. Okay. Well, that was with regards to being subscribed for 5 minutes before you can write a comment in here. We hear you fine. Good. YouTube is crazy. It says excellent connection right now, but I think it's broadcasting out in 720p, isn't it? If I go 1080p for some reason, it sometimes loses it. You sound fine. Audio good to me. You have to figure out magic compression. Good audio is 0 bits per second. Yeah, I'm gonna have to patent that technology. Very reasonable to have subscribed for 5 minutes before answering. Okay, well, glad that meets with your approval. I mean, by the time you ask me a question, if you hit subscribe and ask me a question, it will take me half an hour probably to get to it. So who knows? Anyway, I don't think 5 minutes is too long to wait. We have a professional answer for free. Thank you very much. Vilified Freedom. Thank you very much. Keep grinding. Oh, I see. I see the comment. Now it makes sense. For me being an idiot, I read American Liberty's comment before I read Vilified Freedom. Sorry about that, Vilified Freedom. If I would have actually read the screen in the proper order, it would all make sense to me. It was like, remember the stream I did like last year, I think during the shutdown? I said something like, you could have said anything in the chat, and I won't get to it for like 20 minutes. And you could be telling me that my audio has completely cut out, and I won't see it for 20 minutes, and I'll be sitting there just blabbing away. And here I am telling you how to troll me. But, and then I think someone did do that. And then I was like, are you kidding me? How did this thing get muted? And then they were all like, ha ha ha, it's hilarious. Anyway, wow, an honest seller. That's a great experience. Oh, yes. There was the one about the AKG C535EB. I should maybe get that microphone, put it to use, let you hear how it sounds. It's a cool sounding mic. It's a in-address handheld. So it's designed for stage use. I think the noise floor is around 21 dBA, which in modern technology, you can easily get out if you want to, especially if you close mic the thing or you're loud, you can get that out of there. But it's designed for use on stage. That way, if you're up on a stage and you're doing public address, it's going to be fine. Anyway, it's a great sounding microphone. Too bad that it takes a public social media post for a company to resolve the issue like fast. And you know what? I know people that use Twitter as a weapon when people deserve it. I think it was when I had a newborn. I had a daughter who was a newborn at the time, and my wife went grocery shopping. And the grocery store was completely packed, and so she was trying to find a parking space, but she didn't want to just park in the disabled parking, and so because she wouldn't be able to anyway. So she the only place for her to park was like a couple lanes over. So she parked there, and then she drove in, and she had my little girl in the shopping cart, and she had a whole bunch of food in there. And then as she was pushing it back over to her car, she had a couple of lanes to go over, and all of a sudden the brakes slam on halt. And she looks down, and it ends up being that they have at this particular grocery store the little wheels that if you go outside of their parking lot area, what they assume is the parking lot area, then it locks the wheels. You can't steal our carts. But it meant that because they were packed and she had nowhere to be, she was frustrated. She was like, I can't move this cart. She tried to move it back. She couldn't, because my daughter was in that. She couldn't move it anyway. It was basically just stuck with, $100 or whatever, how much of food in there. And she was so it was like scorching hot and everything, and having a hard time fighting it. And she was trying really hard to try to get any help she possibly could. Finally, because she was stopped right in the middle of a lane. There's like cars over here, and she's crossing them and right in the middle, and she was unable to move. Finally, someone did come over and helped by picking up the end of it, and so that way it was just two wheels on the ground, and then wheeled it over to her car. But it took a while, and it was like the baby was crying because she was hot, and so she tweeted them and said, I understand, you're not wanting your shopping cart stolen, but you got to give a couple of other, you got to give us a little bit wider than a couple of lanes, because she basically just was like, you really made it difficult on me and put me in a spot. Well, they were very apologetic. They did DM her and they wanted to know the store location. They said, we're going to make sure it's remedied, because that doesn't sound to me like it was set properly. It's supposed to be a couple others wider. And anyway, But that's using Twitter as a weapon, supposedly, is by using it to, if you tag a company, a big company, better companies will actually care. Customer service wise, they will absolutely care. If you're trying to hail a company that just does not have customer service and they don't care, they'll DM you and worth it or not. Andre, he had an issue with a FedEx package, and he made a reference to how his package had been sitting in Memphis for like 3 days. Well, he tagged FedEx, and FedEx responded to him and DM'd him, and supposedly it was going to be working to resolve it. That's, people see those tags, and companies will want to remedy things for customers. That's also, if you recall recently, Bandrew got banned. Banned Drew. And he even talked about this in his Bandrew Says podcast. It's ridiculous that he couldn't even address YouTube issues with YouTube. He had to go to YouTube's people on Twitter and use Twitter to try to help him recover his channel and his account that was banned. But it ended up being turned around in like a day or something like that. Not even 24 hours. But it's still ridiculous to have to do that. But Twitter can be good. It can be bad. Social media can be good, can be bad. It is also a quick and easier way to deal with customer service issues. There's been some times that I've tried to get someone on the phone, but I'm on set. I don't have a proper lunch break on the show I'm on, for example. If I have 10 minutes and I'm trying to get someone, we're sorry, the phone, there is a 35-minute hold time. Would you like to hold, or would you like a call back? I'll say, fine, call me back. But my phone's on silent. There's no way in the world I can answer a call because I'm not going to hear the notification. I'm not going to see it. So they call and leave me a voicemail. Please call us back. I'm like, great, another 35-minute wait or whatever. And then their hours are never as long as mine. It's not as bad as banks, but still. Anyway, that's at least my thoughts and my experiences on social media. Hard work pays off. Took me a while for my channel to take off too. Trust me, your channel will grow. You have a good info. P.S. Love Andrew. Yeah. And you know what? It's cool. It's the reason I don't ask for likes, shares, subscribes, and donations is because the way I look at it is, if you want to, you will. If you get value from this channel, I don't want you to hit the subscribe button because I told you to subscribe. I don't want you to hit the like button because I told you to like the video. I don't ask that of you. I simply say, if there's video content there that I produce and you can get something out of that, cool. Love it. That's why I do it. I mean, I teach these to try, because I like teaching. I have the teacher bug in me. And I appreciate when people learn and then they will choose to do something because they want to. And like I think it was a day or two ago, someone, I think it might have even been earlier today, but somebody had sent me a donation, and it's the first donation that I had received outside of a super chat or something like that in probably a year. And he said, he basically said, I don't have the money really to do a Patreon or join as a channel member, but what I did is I sent you what I could, and I really appreciate everything you're doing and how you've really helped me. I'm like, well, dude, thank you so much. I was extremely, the fact that, first of all, someone says, man, I really would like to do something. Then they think about it enough. Then they think to go and search for it in my description. Then they click the link. Then they choose to actually make a payment. Nothing that I told them to do. That to me means a whole lot. That's awesome. So that to me is just, I was extremely, thankful and stuff like that. Doesn't matter if it's $1. To me, it's someone saying thanks in a way that gets your attention. And that was, to me, really awesome. That hadn't happened in a long time, and I was very, very, blessed by that. Hard work pays off. And so anyway, my channel is now 11.3 thousand subscribers. And honestly, I know I'm never going to get a silver play button, and I don't really honestly care. Because to me, if you get good information out of this channel, that's what I care about. I'm very, very happy to see that I have there's 23 people in here right now. I'm very happy for every one of you, whether you comment or not, you watch the videos, you will ask questions. I really appreciate that. What in the world is on my leg? Oh, it's a cable. It's this cable was like Okay. I was like, what in the world was that? Anyway, that was weird. But to me, that means a lot. If that's what I was still talking about, I can't remember anymore. Anyway, please don't grind on camera. So that was going back. Okay, smiley face. When I travel for work, long flights in new cities, I always have a hard time adjusting to the new place. Any advice for feeling a bit more at home in a new city while balancing work? Wow. I've only done a few shows out of my town, out of my city. One of them was in my same time zone, and the other one was just one time zone over. It was in Alabama. That was Devil All the Time, which is on Netflix. You can watch that. Actually, the show I did in Savannah, which is the same time zone as me, is that was Z, the beginning of everything. I think it was an Amazon show. And so if you're an Amazon member, I think you could watch Z, the beginning of everything. And it was just the pilot that I did. After that, the show went to New York. It was picked up and Christina Ricci shot it in New York. But they shot it in New York. I think Jan was the sound mixer on it. But anyway, so where I was going with this was whenever I go someplace or I am local, like what I always find that I need to do is I have to understand how I work. For example, I know myself enough to know that if I am working a day shift on a movie or TV show, if I'm working on a day shift, I only need about 4 or 5 hours of sleep in order to fully function all day. That's just me. Now, I have a long turnaround tonight. I don't have to go until 5 p.m. tomorrow. We work hard 10 hours, and so we'll wrap at 3 a.m. on Thursday morning. But because I'm working overnight, I know my brain will, and the circadian rhythm, whatever the thing is, that rhythm is going to tell me that I'm going to get tired at night. Now, sure, I'll zip this up and do what I need to do there to keep going, but I prefer to not have to do that if I don't have to. I will use it to replenish electrolytes if I want to, but I also like the way that the thing tastes. But at the same time, I do know that if I'm going to be working an overnight, I need it full 7 hours. 7 to 8 hours is what I will do. So I will look at my commute time, and let's just say my 5 p.m. call tomorrow. Tomorrow, I know that it's going to probably take me about an hour and 15 minutes in traffic. It will take me approximately half an hour to get going. And I'm going to leave myself an extra maybe 45-minute window or something like that. No, there's got to be something down there. I don't know. So I will leave myself a little bit of extra time. So that way I know I only have my location tomorrow is about 28 miles away. That's not bad. In Georgia, it will take me approximately an hour and 15 minutes in traffic to get there. But I'm going to give myself an extra 45 minutes. So I will leave 2 hours in advance. If I get there early, I'll leave, since it's hot in the summer, what I'll do is I'll already have the car nice and cold for my drive. All I'll do is I will take a hoodie and I will bring it up and over my head. I have a pillow in my car and I will lean my seat back and I put my head on the pillow and my eyes are covered up and I set in the back seat. There's a little, the hand thing, the little handle that you pull to close your door. It's like a cup. It doesn't go straight through like the old school cars. It's a cup. So I will take my cell phone. I will set my set my alarm, and then I will put it there. And with the car on, I will block out, any direct sunlight on me so I don't wake up sunburned. But I will take a nap in the car. I have the ability, and this is a rarity, I know, from a lot of people. But if you're in the film industry, you probably have developed it. The ability to go to sleep in a heartbeat if you need to. And really quick and be refreshed by like a 15-minute cat nap during lunch. People would inhale their food and then lay down someplace and on the hard floor of a, concrete floor of a set in the back that's going to be away from everything. You'd walk around. If you walk around some of these sets during lunchtime and you're walking around, you might walk into a crew member that's napping there. So you're like, oh, yikes, someone stepped on you. They will scatter during lunchtime. So anyway, I will look at my call time, determine how long it's going to take me to get there in traffic. I will add usually additional time depending on how far away it is. And then I will add on top of it the time that it takes me to get up in the morning, if I already have all my clothes laid out and everything. And then I will add on top of that 7 to 8 hours. And so that way, tomorrow, for example, it'll take me 2.5 hours plus 7 hours, so about 9.5 hours. So 9.5 hours before 5 p.m., which is 1700. So what is it? 6:30 a.m., 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30 would be, and then 2:30, 3:30, 4. No, so 7:30 a.m., 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, and another 2.5 hours. So yeah, 5 p.m. call time tomorrow. I'm going to go to bed at 7:30 a.m. I'm looking at it, and that's like 7 hours from the time it is right now. I'm already tired. You've heard me botch words and do everything else today. I should start zip fizzing very soon. I should go ahead and get that going here in the next few minutes. Anyway, let me try to catch up on some of this chat first because, hey, I'm slowly catching up. I'm only 23 minutes behind now. Okay. So, that's how I manage it. I always, now, granted, when I was on Devil all the time, every single night, I went back to my hotel room and I shot a video. If you look back at my videos, one of them was like how to quiet a noisy hotel room. Another one was what kind of microphone was best in an echoey environment. And then one was on how to tape down cables and carpets. Those 3 videos in a row were all shot in that hotel room I was staying in when I was doing Devil all the time. And then I booked P-Valley, and that was the deal I had on that show. As I said, if you don't pay my rate, then if I book another show, I will leave. If you pay my rate, which was only like $5 more per hour, I said, if you pay my rate, then you buy my loyalty and staying power, and I will turn down other shows. And they said, no, we can't go higher on the rate. I'm like, okay, just let it be known. And then I booked P-Valley, which was a 6-month-long show, so I turned down the last 4 hours. That's the reason why my name is not in the credits on that show. I did the first 3 weeks. I was there every time Sebastian Stan was. He joined. His first day was my first day. We started on the show together. He was there the first day. And then the day they wrapped him, they also wrapped me. So they said, that's a picture wrap on Sebastian Stan, and that's a picture wrap on Alan Williams. I was like, oh, cool. I get a wrap out too. Anyway, so anyway, that was basically me knowing myself. Plan ahead. Every single night on Devil all the time, I'd go back to my room and I'd shoot something. I recorded something for Banger's Head podcast. I recorded a question at one point. I recorded something else. There was a couple other videos I was going to do, and as a matter of fact, it was funny because one of them, we had a female sound utility on Devil all the time, and she asked if I wanted any help recording a video. I said no. And the reason why, it was nothing against her or her gender. She's a complete wonderful person. But the reason why is because I was shooting him in my hotel room at night, and I'm a married guy. And the last thing in the world I want is to, even if it is completely innocent, to bring a young, pretty female into my hotel room to shoot a video. It's not what I want to do. I don't want to have anyone, because the whole crew was staying in the hotel. I did not want to have that become an issue. So I said no. But thank you. I don't want any mixed messages, if you know what I mean. And not with her. It wouldn't be, but with the crew. The rumor mill, all it takes is rumor mill starting up on something like that. And I did not want that to happen. You just don't go there. Anyway, but so I turned that down. But those are the 3 videos. Nick is already starting to post. First video on location, cables, and carpets. Thank you very much, Nick. And so he's posting those right now. Anyway, so that's the reason why those videos were just me. Anyway, I tell you, my laptop is a bit on the old side, and it was not easy to edit those videos on. It took me forever. I'm not good at editing on a laptop in that video, and the video software was very slow on that, even though it's an Alienware. It's old school Alienware, though. And so old school Alienware was great for gaming, but it's not going to be great for modern day video editing. Okay, so that hopefully answers the question, line level media. I just have to know myself. What I always have to make sure that I do is just make sure that you give adequate rest. Build rest into it. And if you know yourself and you know you need to sleep and you arrive, I will push myself. Me personally, what I have to do is I have to push myself longer to stay awake longer, even though it's very difficult. So I will be here. If the questions dry up and people, leave in the next couple of hours or next hour, whatever it happens to be, so far the stream has been going on 1 hour and 15 minutes and 8 seconds. So if I am still going in another 2 hours, it's because the questions have kept me here. If not, then I will probably go ahead and work on a cable order. I have to make a couple of cables. I was going to do those tomorrow, provided that my brain is still with me. If not, then I'll probably do something. I'll watch videos or something like that, but get up and moving and probably organize something just to stay going. But I will go to sleep at 7:30 a.m. And when I do, I will crash hard. I'll probably, if I have to stay up an extended period of time, I'll probably get 8 hours tonight because I'm going to be working overnight and I got to stay alert. So anyway, that's, so I'll probably go to bed at 6 a.m. and then wake up at 2:30 and then get going. So that's just me. I have to know myself. So those are the tips that I would say with regards to traveling for work, is make sure that you just give yourself the adequate sleep that you need. It may be cool and convenient and fun for you to go out and hang out with people. If you're the kind of person that likes to do that and that's how you unwind and stuff after work, go for it. There were times I did that on Double all the time. But I am not a drinker. So I don't ever drink. So I would go out places and because that was shot in Alabama, I was like, give me a Buffalo Rock ginger ale. I love those things, man. Buffalo Rock ginger ale to me are just completely amazing. There are some things that I'm a huge fan of. Buffalo Rock ginger ale is one of them. I love ginger beer. Obviously, none of this stuff has alcohol in it. But I also really love Buffalo Rock ginger ale. And so those are the kind of things I'd get. It's really cool because there, it's like, oh, well, we just happen to have them because they make them there. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. You'd go someplace that the show would say, we're going to rent out a bar, get yourself a couple of drinks or get yourself drinks. And I'd go up there and say, Buffalo Rock ginger ale ×2. I want one for either hand. And they'd give me a couple of cans. I'd be like, yeah, I'm two-fisted my ginger ale. I love it. I mean, what can I say? I'm a geek. But that was, to me, it was completely awesome. And it worked great for me. And when I left, I think one of the Saturdays I was there, I spent all Saturday driving around to different Walmarts and places and buying up all the ginger ale and putting it in my trunk. And so when I left, it was funny because I had been talking about nothing more than that ginger ale for 3 weeks. And my sound mixer, Jake, who's just a completely awesome guy. When I was basically leaving that day, I'd already checked out of my hotel and I was leaving to go home. And he was like, oh, thank you so much for everything. I got you something. And when we went to crew parking, he grabbed me 3 of the 6-packs of ginger ale. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative. I opened up the trunk and my entire trunk is filled with ginger ale 6-packs. And he's like, you already have a lot. I'm like, oh, this isn't a lot for me. This is going to go really fast. And I was just like, so like, oh man, this is awesome. But anyway, so I went home and I was a happily drinking ginger ale fiend for the next however long it was. It was awesome. So anyway, okay, so let's see here. Let's go through this. Where is it? That's hopefully a good answer. American Liberty, you dabbed. I do not understand that. I understand what it is. I just do not understand why it's a thing. When should I join the union? When you feel it's right is the best answer for you, Ford. There are some people that join right out of film school because they feel like it's going to be the next logical step and they want to be working on the biggest shows. I do know people that join the union because they want to be union eligible, but then they are not ready. And they have if film school has given them very weird ideas, but then one of the things is that film school will also tell them sometime is to go ahead and get out there and join the union. So they'll join as soon as they get out of film school, and then they won't be working in the union, but they're going to be in the union anyway. And if they come out to day play, they're going to make me annoyed, or they're just not going to know what they don't know, but they're in the union, so they technically should know stuff. I'll be nice about it, but it's still frustrating because you work on a show at a certain level and you would like people to be experienced. But if you have a couple years of experience and you're getting a decent hourly wage, then I would say if joining a union show is your next logical progression and step, then by all means look at that, because you do with union, you do get probably an increase in pay. You'll get benefits with like your insurance and stuff like that, provided you keep your hours up, your cap account and stuff like that full. You will also get benefits on a union show that you would not get otherwise on a non-union show. So when you feel it's right is the best answer for you. If you are doing indies and stuff like that and you would never see a benefit out of it because you would be paying dues and stuff and never working on a union show, don't do it. If you think that joining a union is going to get you work and help you to make new contacts and stuff, by all means. But I would still say reach out to the people in your area that you would probably be wanting to get, if you're not a mixer, that is, reach out to mixers and see if maybe you could go and buy them a coffee and talk to them about their teams or something like that. Reach out to local teams and see who is willing to do what. Oops, a window just opened. Okay, well, it's me pressing a button. I need to get a different keyboard. This keyboard is old. It's still fine. Whenever I hear people talking about keyboards and stuff, I accidentally hit a button and suddenly it brings up a window. I'm like, I don't know why this thing does that. I never installed any software for this thing. You're supposed to plug it in and it's plug and play, but it has all these buttons around. Like you press this one, and it's a magnifying glass plus. I'm like, when do I need to zoom in on something with a keyboard button? And then this one has a My Computer button. If I press it, what happens? Brings up this PC, which I would never press that button to do. And I don't even know, I think I pressed a button that was bring up a new internet window. Well, why do I need to have a button for that? I need to just get another keyboard. Anyway, I'll do it eventually. It's not a priority. But anyway, that's when you would join the union, is when it's right for you. And that hopefully gives you a little bit of insight. Maybe if you travel with your kitchen sink, I hear some campers do that. There's a bag called kitchen sink for everything in the kitchen sink. And I tell you, it is really cool. It's a cool bag. I was like boarding an airplane at one point, and I looked at him like, what bag is that? I had to ask the guy. He says, this is a kitchen sink. I'm like, it's not a bag? He said, no, that's the brand. It's a kitchen sink. It's for everything in the kitchen sink, because it had a lot of things on there that was really cool. It had like, look it up, kitchen sink bag. It was not cheap, but it was very well made and had all kinds of really cool features to it. And I was like looking at it saying, this thing is amazing. Anyway. Andres, it's funny because that's your cable order I was talking about doing earlier, and now you popped in here. Hey, you made it. Good to see you. When to consider, thank you very much, Nick, for what consider when you're looking for a boom pole. What is my favorite mic? My favorite mic is a DPA 4017B. I love it. It's extremely detailed, which is critical to me. It is also flat. It does not give you too much low end. When you back off on the microphone, it falls off in a very natural manner. But if you want to EQ it and make it give that cinematic or whatever sound to it that you want to call it, it can do that too. Just don't expect it to color the sound and sound a certain way simply because it is a microphone. It is very detailed. It is very crisp. It's not overly poppy. It's not like if you overly sharpen a picture in Photoshop, how it looks really, really awkward. No, it doesn't do any of that. It is very detailed. There's a reason why they chose it to put it on the Perseverance rover, Mars rover, because it is that detailed. Not the 4017B specifically, but DPA microphones. They're dead flat, very detailed, crisp, just not like overly poppy and drive you crazy, but they sound so good. I really love them. Nick, you absolutely should post the newer boom, what not to look for when getting a boom. The newer, I think I did a 5-part video series on can you EQ a bad mic to sound good? And I think I showed that microphone against 3 others that were probably around $400 if memory serves. And we determined that no, you can't. There you go. Spoiler alert. Now you don't need to watch those 5 videos. Actually, those are some cool videos. Mike Delgadio actually takes over for a video. I think it was episode 2 in that series that he came aboard, and I sent him. I sent him some video, and I asked him to listen to it and try to tell me if I EQ'd 4 microphones, if he could tell me which one he liked the sound of the best, and if he could name the AKG C4000B, I think it was the SM7B, the newer NW700, and I think it was the CAD Equitech U100. If memory serves, those were the 4 mics. And he listened to them, and he basically took over for that video. And then we tried to trick him, and he talked us through it. It was really awesome. When he sent me the footage, I was like, what did he record for like 35, 40 minutes? I was like, that is so awesome. I just had to cut out a little bit of it. It was basically him talking to me about what he was going to do and how he was going to do things, and then he did it. And I was like, wow, look at this, Mike. You went above and beyond. Great guy. I love Mike. Hope you're doing well, Sound Streams. I can't even talk. Sound Streams. Sound Speeds. Hopefully you're doing well, Sound Speeds. Appreciate your content. Thank you very much. Sagen 688. I wonder if that's 688 sound devices. With Dugan Auto Mix. What microphone are you using tonight? In my opinion, very similar. It's the same microphone I always use. It is the T-Bone SE400. I don't think I'm not using the expander. If I did decide to use this, and it's going to make it really bad. You can hear this. This is me totally jacking up, because I always use on the live streams, I use the DBX 286S, and if I turned up the bass one, then it's going to make me sound overly bad, very bassy, and it sounds terrible then. So it may just be a different position tonight, but yeah, it might be sibilant. Probably is. Anyway. Okay. Poor Newer, I saw that one. Yeah. Yeah, it was cheap though. Better off than a painter's pole and adapter at that price point. Yep. Nick, you're speaking inside jokes, but I like it. That's he's referring to the video I did recently with where I did reactions to the Indie Mogul video. I did not expect to have those reactions. And if I ever get the chance to talk to Griffin in person, I'm going to apologize for the couple of outbursts I did where they were completely unintentional. But I looked at it and I facepalmed and I said, you know what, I'm going to leave it in. Like there was a couple of rants I did in the BPTRX video. And I told myself after the video, I said, you know what, when I was in editing, I said, you got to stop doing those rants because people just... I don't want to start sounding like a total jerk or a know-it-all or whatever, because believe me, there's plenty of smarter people out there. There's plenty of people that can do the same thing I do out here on Sound Speeds. But I get passionate about things and get kind of frustrated about certain things. That's why the Indie Mogul video was like triggered. Anyway, Travel All the Time was great. Thank you. Alan, do you have any tips for getting the best out of an AT2035? I have it going through a Complete Audio 1, and I use it for live stream and general chat to people. Well, make sure the gain is set right, for one. I don't know your listening environment. Thank you very much for those, Nick. I don't know your listening environment, but it is a condenser, so it's going to be better if you're in an area that has a little bit of acoustic treatment at least. I would say with a 2035, you don't have to be necessarily up on the microphone really, really close. You can be off of the microphone a bit, but don't be too far off. If you're too close to a microphone, it's going to sound like a nightmare. If you're too far away from it, you're going to hear everything. You're going to hear your voice bouncing off of the computer monitor and the table and everything else. So make sure you're speaking on access to it also. Remember, it's a cardioid pattern, so anything that is straight at you is going to be on. Anything that is directly the opposite direction of that microphone is going to be is going to be out. But it's also very wide, so it's going to pick up a lot of things around you. And so if you have a wall that is pretty reflective, like this wall here is not. So if I talk over here, my voice is going to go away quite a bit, just because this is very acoustic treatment. It's very good acoustic treatment. There is an Audi mute blanket underneath of this Insel quilt. The Insel quilt's what you use on sound stages, and then behind that's an Audi mute blanket. I have my studio upgrade video. Nick, I'm going to keep you busy. You're not going to get to sleep at all. You're going to be up here tagging videos that I've made all night. Anyway, my studio upgrade video, I talk about all this material and what I did and how I did it. But anyway, so there you have it. That's a little bit about acoustic treatment in this particular environment. But you need to look at yours. You might not like the way it sounds because there's no acoustic treatment. A lot of times people will try to EQ out bad treatment, and you can't do that. You have to have a very a good sounding environment for it to sound good. Doesn't matter what microphone it is. You can never be better than the microphone is going to allow you to be. However, it is still very important for you to have a quiet, good sounding, non-reverberant room with good acoustic treatment if you're going to be using a condenser. I mean, technically a dynamic also, but especially if you're using a condenser. Because it's extremely important for that reason. So I would say you might want to play with different positioning on your microphone if you're not happy with the way it's sounding. I know you said getting the best out of it. I would say don't get too close to it because then you're going to have too much proximity effect and bass coming out of your voice. Don't get too far away because then if you're doing it for general chatting and live streaming, then it will sound too far away and too distant. Like me, my microphone here is about 10 inches away from my mouth. It sounds too sibilant for American Liberty. And I'm sure it is. But anyway, so hopefully that helped. It's probably a huntsman's powder down there. You know what? I don't think we have huntsmans in the United States, do we? It might be a brown recluse, which is the most poisonous / venomous spider we have here in Georgia, but I don't think there would be one hanging out under my chair. I know we have black widows in our neighborhood because one of my neighbors had one startle her the other day. Anyway, no 5 p.m. breakfast burrito. You know what? I'm not huge into catering anymore. So, I don't really have the breakfast burritos. Live stream until 7 a.m. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'm getting kind of, loopy now. I'm starting to get kind of tired now. Got to do something, though. First video on location cables. Thank you so much for those, Nick. I really appreciate it. Ryan, all right. How are you liking the 10-hour days? Just did calling on a show like this myself, and it was amazing. Yeah, you know what? I don't really break for lunch. And when we do normally break for lunch, and then they're like, okay, we're going to shuttle the crew away, and you're going to be doing a sit-down lunch, then coming back, last man, whatever. That slows down everything. As soon as you get out of that rhythm, the actors are going to take a little while to get back in. People are going to be brain dead from having, taken a nap, and it takes a while to get everything going again. And I prefer to just power through it. This show did have catering, people fulfilling catering orders, and they would bring us food. Sometimes it was taking a while to get to us, but we did get food. This is our last week of the show. So what they decided to do was 86 catering, because we had some difficult locations that it was going to take a long time to get food to us. So what they decided to do for this last week, and I think there was, because we were shut down last week due to COVID, we were supposed to wrap today, but I think there might have been a conflict with catering, and they had another job to go to, so they weren't able to stay back to us. So it would kind of worked itself out. But we are now having food trucks in the morning. We have multiple food trucks for lunch, and then we usually start off the day, and we have a coffee truck that's there at call. They'll have another truck that comes in and does like burritos, I think was what it was today, and whatever else. Today we had a barbecue truck. Then I think we had ice cream. Then I think we had sushi. Then we had wings from JR Crickets. I mean, they're feeding us just fine. I personally have no complaints on that. But that's what we had today. Tomorrow will be something different. And let's see, what do we have yesterday? Yesterday we had the same coffee truck. They basically have been bought out this entire show for like the last month. We've had the same coffee truck at call or at some point. Sometimes they disappear for like 4 or 5 hours and they come back. So they'll be there first up in the day and then they'll be there later in the afternoon. But let's see, what else did they do? We had crepes at one point. We had like hamburger trucks. We had, all kinds of different things, man. It's actually a really cool idea. It works out great for me. I like it. Anyway, okay. Shazam. Oh, okay. Worth it or not? Andre's here. I don't know if you're still here because it's such a long time ago. What time? Timestamp is 10:46 p.m. and now it's 11:07. So, buddy Andre is like, he might have been here 21 minutes ago and then left, but who knows? Okay. Thanks, Nick, for getting a hotel room quiet with a beard. That's right, because I didn't take my razor with me. I decided to see how much was going to grow in a month. It was interesting. Young and beautiful, no, but old and ugly is for the cougar fetish boy. We live, baby. Mike Robertson. We live, baby. I guess that means, yes, we're live. I appreciate this channel. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate that if you're still here. What does other departments help with sound? Saw a video on YouTube about silent props. Yes, I have a video. Actually, Nick, here's more homework for you. 3BO series. I think it's called Working with Other Departments. I have videos about working with a sound mixer, working with sound utility, I think a director, and I also have one about working with other crew members or something like that. That's a good video to watch, and it would probably be a great video for you to watch with regards to that, because I go into different aspects of what things are that you might ask for help with or for other departments and how we can assist them as well. Hourly rage. That's something completely different. Hourly rage is something I get. No, it's one of my benefits. One of the things in my deal memo, my rider, I must have my hourly rage. No, hourly wage. Yeah. You know me. Again, time to zip fizz. Just thinking that, Oakley in, well, what is this you're posting here? I'm sure it's fine, Nick, but it's like, oh, the kitchen sink bag. It is such a pretty bag, isn't it? That's what it is. Man, you're on top of things, Nick. Where's my window that I was in, though? There it is. I'm back. Okay. Now I need to find my chat. There we go. Okay. Man, Nick is on top of it tonight. Thanks for showing up, Nick. Okay. Yo, why won't my Nomad 10 ever work correctly? Oh, dude, you're talking about a Zaxcom recorder that I've never personally used. I'm not a mixer, man. I would say reach out to Zaxcom and ask them, again, because it depends on what the problem is. Zaxcom would be the best people to really check that for you. You could call them up during the day tomorrow. They're in New Jersey, so East Coast time zone. But definitely call them and find out what their thoughts are on that, because it depends on what's wrong with it. There's so many things that can go wrong with the recorder in general. I believe, I can't remember if the Nomad 10 is one that it has an interchangeable hard drive, but if so, try changing out the hard drive, see if it functions better, but we'll see. Yes, 5 parts. Thanks, Nick. Experience with microdot adapters straight from China. No, I have not. I have used DPAs and I have used deities. I don't really buy any of those cheap Chinese things if I can really help it. mainly because I'd prefer to buy from American companies and support them. If not, I'll at least stick to companies that are in countries that seem to have human rights and treat employees correctly. Like I'll buy from Rode because they are in Australia and that's the first world country. They treat people properly. I'll buy from companies like Rycode and like companies in the EU, for example, in the UK. They're going to make good products and stuff, and that if they're going to be a pro sound shop in one of those other countries, then you're going to probably do just fine with it. Anyway, but no, to answer your question, I have not used cheap microdots. Okay, let's see. I have a union buddy that just moved to ATL. Any tips for him making connections out there? Mike, yeah, put him in contact with me. Tell him to, pull my email address from any of the bottom of the videos here and shoot me a message, and I'll gladly talk to him. We do have, I think it is in about 4 months, 3.5 months, we're going to have the annual Mixers Mixer, which is where a bunch of vendors come in from all over the country. Some come in from internationally, and we usually will have people come in and they'll showcase their new products and they'll talk about them and we'll try them out and we'll talk to other sound people and we'll geek out. We used to gather together a lot more often pre-COVID. But now, we're going to have the annual Mixer. It's going to be great. So mingle when you can. If you join any of the if your friend joins any of the Atlanta Sound Forums, if you happen to have an availability, throw it up there. Say, hey man, I'm going to be at this place at this time. Anybody interested in grabbing some food or grabbing a drink or something like that? Usually there's someone available. If it's a weekend or something like that, you can say, hey, is there anybody willing to meet up and hang out or whatever? Probably somebody will take you up on it. If not, contact some mixers and see if you could maybe take them to coffee sometime if they have a later call time, hour or something like that. Used to be that you could shadow them on set, but we don't really do that anymore with COVID going on. So, one of those other wonderful things that has now changed thanks to COVID. Man, this seat is not very comfortable. Okay. Paul, hi, I'm starting my first professional boom op job next week on a soap. I was hired by production, not by the mixer. Is there anything I should be aware of or do going in? Well, first of all, Paul, I have a 3BO video series. If you've never been a boom operator on a professional show, you might want to IMDb your mixer, find out how long they've been doing it. You definitely want to talk to your mixer ahead of time. And it's funny because I also interview my mixer. If I don't know them, if I've never worked with them, I'll interview them. I'll want to know before I start the show what their gear is, how they normally like if we're doing car work, what are the microphones I usually have to choose from? If we do inside work, some mixers are all different. One mixer may say, if we're doing indoor work, it's going to be this microphone. If we do outdoor work, it's going to be this microphone. They may also say, oh, I have a selection. You have this. Yeah, just choose what you like the best. And you'll have to experiment with them and figure out and listen to them perhaps in advance and determine which one you like the sound of the best. And you can do that. Same thing with their plants. Are you going to be using a cabled or a wireless boom? Are you going to be doing, are they very involved in micromanaging, or are they going to be, I totally trust you, laid back, cool? Find out from them what their expectations are of you and talk to them about their style and how they, what the best boom operators are they've ever worked with. What do those people do and why do they like them? If it's your first professional job, because I'll say, so tell me a boom operator that you really like the workflow of. Tell me what that boom operator is like, because I can be aggressive if I want to be. I can also be cool and laid back, but still get the job done. It depends on the mixer and their style. Some mixers are pushy, and they will push and push and push and push, even when it is not necessary at all. They're going to push and just destroy rapport and make everybody mad at them because that's their nature, and they're going to do it. And all you could do in those circumstances is make the mixer happy and say, and just, sound is requesting this, and they'll be like, what a weird request. Why are you doing that? It is a request from the top. And, who knows? Anyway, you don't want to throw your mixer under the bus, but at the same time, there's some very unreasonable requests that I swear mixers are not sane people sometimes. Anyway. Nick has so much responsibility. He does. Where am I going? Not as loopy as... Also, Paul, I have the 3BO series. If you want to crash course in being a boom operator, there's hours of content there, and you can hop around in different topics and learn, because the 3BO series is a boom operator training series that I have on this channel. So you can look at it under playlists. I'm sure Nick probably has posted it already. Oh, look at this. He has already. Look at that. He did it 2 minutes ago, so go check that out. Alrighty. Not as loopy as Andre after his surgery. Okay. Sunrise, do you know Andre? All right. I just got my first professional boom pole today, a K-Tech Classic Pro 12 CCR. Yep, 12-foot CCR. I'm switching from K-Tech Avalon aluminum because of the weight. Yes, very good. The Classic Pros, man, they're great. They're beautiful poles. They really are. And I have the KP16 right there. So, almost dropped that. That woke me up for a second. My it's technically in this. See the movie I'm working on right now? Senior year. This is the water bottle they gave us, and of course, that's how I put my name on things. Sound speeds, because people hear me yell it. If you didn't hear this story, I'm going to tell a story real quick. So I was on set about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that, and there was a girl next to me who said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. What's going on?" And she said, "Why do you keep yelling Zaxby's?" I'm like, "Zaxby's? What are you talking about?" And she's like, "As soon as they say roll, you yell Zaxby's." I'm like, Zaxby's, if you're not familiar, is a chicken restaurant. It's like fast food chicken. I'm like, I'm not yelling Zaxby's. I'm yelling sound speeds. She's like, "Oh, sound speeds. I guess that makes more sense." I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, you thought I was yelling Zaxby's? She's like, "Yes, I did." I'm like, "Are you hungry?" And she's like, "No, I'm not." But it's like, man, she heard Zaxby's. So that was pretty awesome. Okay. Fun little story. Been fun. Thanks, I'm out. Lloyd, thank you so much. Gonna watch the boom pole video. Awesome. Next, done even more things. Amazing. There's with a director. I can share sound utility and mixers too, but they should primarily be focused on sound. I can share sound utility and mixers too, but they should also be primarily focused on sound. Nick, I know I should be understanding what that means, but for some reason my brain is not. Thanks for sharing so much of your knowledge. Love your videos and your streams. I am not asking much in the chat because I'm still learning what to ask. Absolutely, Matthew. Well, if there is a question, then by all means, don't hesitate. It'd be cool. How's the 107 studying going? You know what? I need to get back into it more. Here's the course right here. It's open in a tab. I have like 20 tabs open, and I'm 34% complete. I need to do better because I'm very interested. We had drone people flying on set, and I went over and I watched them, and I looked at it, and I said, well, this is obviously, we don't have class 2 and class 3 drones in America, so this has got to be a class 1. He's not flying over people, which is good because his props are not, he doesn't have the guards on him. And then I'm like, but of course this is a closed set, so technically, as long as people are made aware that there's a drone, which they are, then I'm rationalizing it and going through it and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's the VO right there. And anyway, to answer your question, I'm 34% of the way through. I'm part of the online forum that they have through the course that I signed up for, and it's cool. I really like it. There's a lot to remember, and unfortunately, my memory of things that are not related to sound will usually like drop off in the decay pattern of something like an alkaline battery. It will drop off over time. And so I will have to refresh my memory. With sound stuff, for some reason, it'll stay in my brain a lot easier and a lot quicker, and then I can't get it out there. I'll be, thinking about sound stuff for dumb reason. I'll be driving on my way to work. I'm like, oh, what was that thing that there was? Oh, yeah, I need to listen to that. And so I'll just start listening to some sound thing. Anyway, even though I'll try to be listening to comedy or something like that. All right, so let's see. That's how the 107's going. I need to do more because I really do miss it. But you know what? Now that I am done with the Deity BPTRX video, which has taken over a month to do and over probably at least 5 days a week, I have spent at least 2 hours on it per night. And it has taken a lot of time to get that thing done. A lot of time. So now that it's done, I expect, because I have not touched that 107 class in probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm glad to be able to finally get back into it. Tomorrow, I have to make a couple of cables for Andreas, who's in this chat right now, or at least he was a few minutes ago. And after that, there is a series that I'll probably end up watching at the same time as I'm making his cables called, it's on YouTube. It's on Netflix, and it's called The Movies That Made Us. They just dropped second season. I'm so happy at the movies. They did such a good job with this series. It's called The Movies That Made Us. There was like a video about Dirty Dancing, and it was they're short documentaries, but they're funny. They're well made. They interview people to talk about things, and these are the people that worked on the movies. And I think they did like one on Home Alone, and they're like, oh yeah, so we shot that on a sound stage, and because of all the water that the Wet Bandits were in, they're talking about Home Alone. It's like we built it in basically the bottom of a swimming pool, and we built the set around there so that way we could flood it with water and it wouldn't drain, and it was basically contained and it had a drainage system. And they talk about this stuff, and they talk about how they did things and when and how, and it's really awesome. They talked about Dirty Dancing and what it meant and the arguments that was going on between Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze and how they were at each other's throats and how there was egos and whatever. This industry is so weird with regards to egos. I tell you, it's so weird. I cannot wait to watch season 2. Now that I'm done with the BPTRX video, I will definitely do it and see what those videos do look like. All right. So it says, man, I wish I was on my computer instead of a tablet. Sorry, Nick. You're doing a great job. Thanks for that. Alan, did you say your favorite microphone was DPA 4097? No. I do like the 4097, but it is not my favorite. Mine's the 4017B. It's the short shotgun microphone, the Super Cardi Wood shotgun. Larko, do a zip viz. Okay. And then let's see here. Yay, another wrench. Yes, Larko has showed up. He has the wrench, but Larko will not use his for the power of good like you're using yours, Nick. I think at some point, anybody who is a member on my channel, if you're a member supporting the channel through a membership, then I gave you a wrench. And American Liberty said, "Oh no, don't give me a wrench. You don't want to give me a wrench." And he made me take it away from him. And I said, "Okay, fine." All right. And then American Liberty, thank you very much, Larko. Thank you very much, American Liberty. Thank you very much. Let me scroll up there. American Liberty again. Vilified Freedom. Thank you very much for your donations, guys. I really appreciate it. Super chats are absolutely amazing. Okay, and we have a zip fizz to do. We have pink lemonade. We have fruit punch. We have orange soda. We have limon, and we have citrus. I'm going to tell you something funny. My wife, for Father's Day, she and my daughters will watch Markiplier videos when they're appropriate. And Markiplier did one a couple of weeks ago about, maybe a month ago, about sour stuff, I think it was. And he mentioned how there was a certain gum that had like the sour citric acid or something like that directly on the inner core of the bubblegum balls. And when it was Father's Day, she chose to get me a bag of that. She did not realize it was a 5-pound bag. And of course, I do not understand moderation at all. So when she gave it to me, I would take 2 chewing gumballs. I'd put one on either side of my mouth and I'd chew it. I'd be like, wow, this is sour. And then as soon as the flavor would go away, I'd spit it out into my trash can. And then I would put 2 more in there. Well, in like 2 days, I had probably gone through 2/3 of the bag and had totally chewed up the inside of my mouth and made all my teeth like hypersensitive. This is not swallowing the gum, obviously. It's just the flavor and the sourness, man. And the sour chewed up my mouth something severe. It just destroyed me. I was not a happy camper about that, but that was citrus for you. And that's the reason why I'm looking at the limon, and the citrus. And I'm looking at those, and then this one here is pretty tart too, the pink lemonade. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be brutal if y'all choose one of the citrus ones, because my throat lining, it made my throat weak. I had like laryngitis, not laryngitis like full, but my voice was weak for a couple of days, and and because my throat was messed up like that, it caused me to breathe differently through my nose, which through a mask 10 hours a day was like, sniffling constantly. And so our COVID compliant officer, health and safety, was like, looking at me because they don't want you to have any kind of symptoms at all if you're on set. I'm like, look, I'm not sick. It's just my throat lining has been totally messed up, which is causing my nose to run because of me being an idiot and eating like, and chewing all these gumballs of all this citric acid or whatever the acid is. I know they sell it like in, you could buy a bag of like the white crystallized citric acid or the acid that it comes in like a powder form, and you can sprinkle it on something if you want to make it very, very soury. And these gumballs had that in like its core. Kind of like a Crybaby, but not really. It was a different kind. Forgot what it was. Markiplier was talking about it, so my wife decided I needed a 5-pound bag of it, and I just finished them too. Just chowing down, and so much pressure. I don't chew gum anymore, so much pressure on my jaws, and the fact that it was very citrusy and cold, and not cold, but just very, very sour. It just chewed my mouth up. Okay. So if you guys, American Liberty, Larko, you want to tell me what flavor of Zip Fizz, or Nick, you guys want to tell me what flavor of Zip Fizz to do? Again, we have lemon, we have orange soda, fruit punch, pink lemonade, and citrus. Tell me a flavor, I'll take it. Okay. Oh, no. I'll get to that comment in a second. I'm not going to have a ghost pepper flavor Zip Fizz. No. And nice dollar amount there, American Liberty. Bandrew would be very pleased. Okay, looking for a love update. Looking at the BP6 Sanken cost 11. Okay, looking at the Countryman B6 and the Sanken cost 11D. Also, looking to upgrade RX and TX. I've been looking at Letros, but have no idea which set to get. Want the dual channels or the 4 channels? Okay, you're talking about a receiver. Okay, depends on your budget. Here's the thing. The Countryman B6 is waterproof or water resistant, and it's very small. Does a good job. It's not as full as a Cost 11, but a Cost 11 also seems to have a little bit of a high boost. So it has a little bit of a presence boost there, which a lot of people like because it will help punch through clothing. A little bit. It'll pick up through clothing a little better, but personally, I'm more of a fan of the DPAs that are flat. Also looking to upgrade the RX and the TX. So have looked at Letros, but have no idea which set to get. It depends on your budget, really. And keep in mind, if you buy a transmitter, you also need to buy a receiver. If you're getting a bag and outfitting it, then you're going to need to you're probably going to want to go with one of the dual receivers. Dual receivers are great, low profile in a bag. If you have an actual rack mount, something like that, the D squared series is great. I mean, so is the Venue if you want to go with older stuff and work your way up. If you want to just get entry level to get into the Electro world, then by all means, buy something that's a little bit on the older side. Get yourself a Venue 2, something like that, and then probably get yourself some SMs, some SMV, SMAs, SMDA. Any of those things should do fine for you. If you're looking at, you got to keep also, there's the LT series, it kind of is a lighter version of, I think, the WMB series, if memory serves. No, WMB, that's the water model, isn't it? WM is the water model. WMB. Geez, I'm starting to run together because I'm tired. I'm starting to run all the model numbers together. But some of them are the cheaper of the series, and then there's some that seem to do the same features, but they're more expensive. One of them is going to be the more expensive one is better at regulating power, for example, in low power modes. They're not going to drain out the battery at the same time. They might also have an integrated recorder. Just what features are you looking for? And you can also email me, and I can help you find something here. But are you in a bag, or are you setting up an actual sit-down cart? What exactly are you looking for? Dual receivers are great because they pick up 2 different frequencies in one device. But keep in mind also, if you're putting them in a bag, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to do that. And you also have to hop all the antennas together depending on how many receivers you have. Anyway, you can also email me. I'm going back and forth with you. Thanks so much for your help. Love your videos with Ken Strain, his masterclass. Yeah, Ken's masterclass is awesome. He has that available on Video Mantis right now. I think it's like 3 hours and 20 minutes. And I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched it probably 6-7 times while doing, other things. And it's awesome. To answer your question, I don't know Andre, but I might be meeting up with him in the near future. He keeps saying that he wants to crash my drones. Should I be afraid? No. No, Andre's a good guy. He's a part 107 also. So it's funny because if he was still in here, I was gonna mess with him and say, "Hey, Andre, you know what you need to do is you need to send me your camera, your Sony ZV-1, because I could use that in the live stream better than a webcam." But the thing is, I don't think he's ever gonna send me anything again, because he has, in the past 3 months, he has sent me 2 things. And both of those things I have completely obliterated. The first one was that microphone, the Viju, whatever microphone name that he sent me, and I did the collaboration with him for April Fool's Day, and completely destroyed that microphone. Yeah, so I don't think I sent it back to him in pieces. And then the other thing, he recently sent me the Akaso camera that I used when I decided I wanted to record audio inside of a Blender, and then decided I should also get that in 4K video. And I asked him what would be a good camera to use for that, and he said, "I'll send you one." And I'm like, "Oh, don't just send me one, because it will probably never survive." And he was like, "Well, we'll see." And I was like, "Okay." And he sent it to me, and it became permanent loan. I ended up having to throw it away. Obviously, I mean, I ground the thing up, so there you go. All right. Thank you so much for your help. Just did that one. To answer your question, I don't know, Andre. Okay, I just answered that one too. Glenn Sanders yells Zach Speeds. That's a good one, Nick. He might actually, yell Zach something, because he loves that. Zach's come as his brand. He loves it. Alan, be completely ignoring us. I am not. No one has told me a flavor yet. He will catch up in a few minutes, Larko. Yes, you're right, Sunshine Media. Sunrise Media. Sunrise Water Media. Nice, 34%. 34% isn't bad. Keep at it, Alan. I will. No worries. He's instantly redacted before. What? Did I say something wrong? Wait a minute. What is this Netflix? Oh, the movies it made. It's probably. Well, thanks. I'll just use that link and watch it later after the stream. And then American Liberty trolls and says ZipFizz needs to make a ghost pepper flavor just for Alan. My teeth enamel is hurting just hearing about that story. Yes, I know. It's so bad. I was terrible. What is my favorite flavor of ZipFizz? Lately, it's been grape. I've been having a lot of grapes on set. Grape to me is a flavor that I'll usually just take a little bit and pour it into my mouth, and then I'll go and boom a take, and then I'll pour a little bit more in my mouth, and I love that because I get long amounts of flavor for long periods of time, and it doesn't mean that I'll put an entire ZipFizz in my mouth, and then someone will say roll sound, I'll be like, you know, I don't have to do that. I'll just have a little bit in my mouth, it'll fizz up, and then I'll be good. But anyway. All right, so if Heather is here, Heather should be the person that picks my ZipFizz flavor if she's still here. Heather, if you're still here, you tell me citrus, fruit punch, pink lemonade, lemon, and orange soda. Which ZipFizz should I take? If Heather is not here, then she has left me already. Okay, so whichever is my favorite flavor, pick your poison. Hey, Alan in chat. Okay, that's Heather. Hi, Heather. Ken Strain's video. Nick, yeah, you just so on top of this. It's insane. What a boom operator should know and mistakes. Okay, yeah, cool. Which Part 107 course are you taking? I'm taking the one at the Pilot Institute. Greg's course is great. So pilotinstitute.com. That's the one I'm taking. What's his name? Greg Reverdiel? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry, Greg. I'm sure that I butchered your name, but then I don't think you'd be watching my video. So, awesome course, by the way. I'm loving it a whole lot. Pink lemonade, Heather says. Okay. The Heather has spoken. She will be listened to. Okay. This will help perk me up a little bit. It'll take a few minutes, I'm sure, but my brain is definitely lagging right now. All right. 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 17 seconds into this video. And here we are going to pop our first ZipFizz. Pilot Institute course. Yep, that's it. Nick, you're not doing bad for a iPad. You're probably hardly paying attention to the stream because you're so busy looking up everything. I mentioned something and you look it up. Okay. Here we go. And this is, of course, I keep sipping the water. Yes, I know that I probably said something really dumb in there because I flubbed my words. And it's probably going to be turned into a meme. I should, in my Discord server, I should totally decide that it would be so funny just to make a making fun of sound speeds memes and stuff like that, because people have posted some really good ones. Freeze frames of my videos and whatever else. That the one I took, it's great. Okay, cool. Dance playing, awesome. Well, here we go. And unfortunately, I am missing a ZipFizz because I accidentally lost a stream that was processing for like a week, and the video was still there, and the processing. So I deleted the processing, and it took the video with it. I'm like, oh, come on now. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, bottoms up. Yeah. With all the sour that's been in my mouth lately, it definitely is hypersensitive to my teeth. Woo! Good times. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Greg is a cool guy. He was great on the 400 AGL YouTube channel a few weeks ago. Answered a lot of our questions. I'm going to have to look that one up. I'm going to go to this, and I don't know if you're hearing Curtis Judd's thing, but I have one of his videos open. I'm going to open up another tab. 400 AGL. Okay. I'll have to go to that one. Cool. I have that one open. So it's in another tab. I'll check it out. Cool. All right. Yeah, sour face, because my mouth is very, very sensitive right now because of all that. Is it citric acid? I think it is. What makes things sour? Even those 5 pounds of sour, very sour bubblegum balls was not a wise thing to do in like a week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever it was. But I did it and totally messed up my mouth. Anyway. So cool. I'll have to check out 400 AGL. Sour face, yeah. Someday you'll need to take a Zip Fizz with a bag of Pop Rocks. Yep. I could certainly do that. Maybe I'll do that for the epic live stream that we're going to do this year. I'll have to do, something like that, I guess. You make your own sherbet, do you? Well, if you weren't on the opposite side of the planet, I would say definitely make me some. But I know it would not survive the... it would probably cost $100 to ship me a little small package of it, too. All righty. There was a time I was making ice cream. I made it from scratch using Alton Brown's recipe. I remember having it. It was something like 98753 or something like that was the different numbers or something. There was like 5 ingredients for the premium ice cream. It was like 9 of something else. I can't remember. It was something, but it was pretty awesome. The ice cream is really good. All right, so we have Nick. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to head out. Feeling fatigued, setting in. We'll catch the rest of the stream later. Thanks for the great evening. Thank you so much, Nick, for all of your help and for posting, probably half the links on my channel. That was awesome. I really appreciate it, man. Very highly appreciated. Okay, so Larko, I saw that you had something that was uncovered there, but it's now gone. You must have redacted it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to head out. Oh, that was Nick. I just got through rereading that one. Okay, you can change the title of this video to I discuss eating 5 pounds of ball. Yeah, sure. that was Oh, I got to find out how many there were in there. I discuss eating 500 balls or whatever it was, gumballs. Oh, yeah, I have to ask, where did the Yeti go? Oh, it's right over there. Yeah, it's literally right there. I haven't done anything with it. Aside from it being in the background of my April Fool's Day video, it has plans, as you know, but it is not after Christmas yet. When I do my epic live stream this year, it will make an appearance. That's what we said last year. Is I did the EV664 did its swan song, and I burned it in my fireplace. My wife was not the least bit happy with me on that one. But I did it. This year, my wife has refused to let me burn. Well, I mean, she doesn't let me burn anything in the house. She doesn't like me cooking in the house either. As a matter of fact, I've kind of lost that privilege. So if I want to cook anything, it's on the grill outside for the most part, with few exceptions. Or if I have permission, or I can ask on like Father's Day or something. But anyway, so the Yeti is over there, and it will be in the Epic live stream. My brain just completely lagged there for a second. Sunrise Water Media, I'm gonna have to hit the hay up early to practice some drone flying for the International Game of Whoop competition. Good night, Alan and chatters. Thank you. YouTube refused 3 super chats tonight due to something it didn't like me saying. Really? It's so funny. It's American Liberty. I wonder if it would have been different if you kept the wrench. See, I'll approve those. No problem. I mean, it's very interesting. But it's funny that if you do a super chat, it's still going to censor you. You should just let me give you a wrench. That way it assumes that I trust you, and then you can run berserk. And when I have my back turned, you can kick everyone out of chat if you want to. Actually, Larko has that power and authority. If he wanted to, he could use it. Oh, let's see here. Here's a sample of one of those rejected. Oh, I see. So you said that, and YouTube didn't like it. That's very interesting. It's YouTube is very interesting. It's an amazing platform. They have built an amazingly powerful machine here, platform and everything. It is quite interesting to quite literally be sitting in a room while the house is asleep around me. Air conditioner is on, pouring powdered energy stuff into my mouth, and having a microphone in front of my face and a camera right there, and knowing that this is basically going out over the entire planet. If anybody wants to look at it, they can. There's 15 people in this right now, and we've received 35 in various different super chats from different areas of the globe. No question there. I appreciate it all. But that's quite amazing to me that I am literally sitting here brain dead talking to people at the other side of the world. It's cool. Very cool. YouTube has made it very amazing in answering questions. So I can only put Liberty in timeout or ban him from chat. Oh, don't do either one. What are the choices? Yep, remove him, put him in timeout, add him as a moderator, hide user on this channel, report, remove, pin message. I could pin his message. I have no idea why YouTube is scrutinizing me. I'm going to pin that message. There we go. That message is now pinned. So that way, maybe the YouTube guys will say, oh, yes, that's a very good point. I have no idea why YouTube is scrutinizing me. Haha. Okay. Okay, so we have now caught up on all of our chat. And I'm still waiting for the zip fizz to kick in. It's slowly going. My mouth is like not happy with me yet again. It's like, you know what? You just had more sour stuff. You weren't supposed to do that. Huh. 36.75. Thank you. Ooh, man, the inside of my mouth, man, is totally jacked up. American Liberty, thank you so much again to double Alan around the world. We don't need more Alan around the world. There is plenty of videos here. There's plenty of discussion we could have about things. What's something we should talk about? It's like trying to think. I could tell stories. I just need to get something going. You know what? I just had one zip fizz. I should go and grab a grape one. I don't want to use. I mean, unless you want to. I don't want to go straight with another one. I'll go straight. I don't know. I don't care. Have another zip fizz. one of those things. What's better than one Zip Fizz? Two. Maybe my eyes will open up a little bit more then. We have, you know what? Let's have another one. Just overdose on Zip Fizz. I'll get myself completely lit, hopefully, and be like, shaking. And I'm going to close my eyes, mix them up, and we'll determine which one. American Liberty has certainly donated enough money for me to do another Zip Fizz. He always seems to be extremely generous in my live streams, and he is a nut that way. Very highly appreciated. Okay. So, not this one. All right, eyes still closed. Not this one. And I don't know which one of these two flavors it's going to be, but this one. Great. Citrus. Another one of the citrus ones. Man. Gosh. Fine. Fine. Beautiful. You missed Liberty's donation asking you to take another anyway. Did I? Did he do another? He mentioned the ghost pepper flavor. Do a Zip Fizz for me while denouncing Larko. Oh, so the denouncing Larko is not something I did before. I totally forgot that. So I should denounce Larko. Yes. Okay. I will do that then because it sounds like a great idea. Oh, I'm watching. For some reason, there is a big delay. Normally, it's only like 6 seconds long. It's only normally 6 seconds delay. But for some reason tonight, even though I set it to the low latency mode, it is very slow tonight for some reason. And I have no idea why. I'm looking at it and it's very much delayed. So I'll see something happen on the screen and all of a sudden it will scroll up for whatever reason and it will scroll back down. All right, so here's a citrus. It's going to totally mess up my mouth again. Good times. I so do not want more citrus in my mouth. I denounce you, Larko. Oh, man. Hypersensitive teeth is hurt. God. That, like, really hurt. Oh, man. Man, this one tooth in the back right there is killing me. Man, that hurt. Good times. Alan in pain. Yes. Man. Okay, that's done. All right. Ooh. Okay, let's see. At our peak in this live stream, which was at about 11:08 p.m., we had 27 people in this stream. That was the most we've seen. Okay. American Liberty, you'd like to see me in pain, do you? He says I actually laughed out loud on that one. Great. Well, awesome. Normally, I tell you, my mouth still hasn't recovered because I had all those sour gumballs, and then my mouth started to recover and heal, and no sooner did that happen did did I do it again? So like as soon as my mouth just started to recover from all the overly sensitive acid and stuff like that that was on my in my mouth, as soon as that happened, the geez, sorry man. Okay, what was I saying? The citric acid completely chewed my mouth up. My mouth had started recovered, and so I went ahead and did finished off the back. It took a couple of days, but you chew it, your body hates you for it. You chew up your inside of your mouth is it's like overly sensitive around your gum line and stuff like that because I guess it just chews away at it and then it heals up after a couple of days. Man, Zip Fizz torture amusement park. Yeah, not a great idea. Most people can't just take it straight like that. The flavor doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Tonight, it's been the hypersensitive teeth. Cause like we had gelato on set. That was another one of the trucks that one of the things that Crafty brought out. They brought out gelato, and so of course, since it was hot on set, they brought it out, and I got the cookies and cream one. It had completely melted into like, the cup was only this big. It had completely melted into like a little thing, but even then it was like coolish, not cold, but it was cool. And, I basically just drank it. And even then I was like, ow, hypersensitive teeth because it's sensitive to cold. Eventually the teeth will get back to normal. But in the meantime, they're not liking me at all. So okay. Well, we're caught up on our chat. If anybody has any more questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. Because we are 2 hours and 26 minutes and 46 seconds in. If you want to keep me going, then do it. If not, I will go ahead and call it. Give it a couple more minutes if there's any more questions. In the meantime, I definitely appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate all the donations, as always. The camaraderie, the fun. It's fun to just sit here and talk to people around the world, see what's going on. Nick did post the movies that made us, so I might watch those if y'all are done with me. And I'll have to do another stream sometime because I do like it and miss it. It's a lot of fun. I do need to finish my 107 class, though. I really do need to do that. I'm not going to watch it tonight because I know I know myself well enough to know that I would just be staring at the screen and I would totally miss them. And I think the next section that I have coming up, I definitely need to pay attention to. It is radio communications and aerospace. Then I have charts and then weather theory and, other things. But it's like radio communications, I might understand a little bit already, but not a whole lot. So I'm looking forward to it. The class is really cool. Even if nothing else, it's like it's going to be another certification to have. I filled out all the forms for the part 74 FCC license, but it takes forever now because they were shut down and not approving a whole lot during COVID last year. And a lot of people filled out the forms. It took my friend Cujo, who was in the Epic live stream, took him like something like 6-8 months to get his to him. And I filled mine out a while back, but it's still just taking its sweet time to approve me and send me the card. Anyway. All right. When you visit Alan, I can take you to a local Zip Fizz factory. Yes. How often, if ever, do you take your kids to shoots? Never. I never do. I did a very low budget, more of a passion project for a friend. He used to, I don't know if he still has it or not, but he used to have a teaching school. He was an actor, a film actor. and he had a teaching school that he would teach acting through. And he had quite a few students. It may still be there. It may have just relocated it. But anyway, it's slipped my mind the name of his school, but his school actually sponsored a movie. And it was like, I don't remember where he got the script from it. I think it was one of his friends that wrote it, but he cast all the kids out of his students. So it's no one like some of the major actors in it. It's a movie called Santa's Boot Camp. And the whole idea is that the whole idea behind the story is that like Santa is the elves have decided to go on strike. And I forgot the reason why, but Santa has to get these like 6 kids that have like no interest in helping Santa out or being in the North Pole or whatever. He has to get them to their help to help him deliver presents or something. I forgot what it is, but it was an ensemble piece. It was cutesy stuff and whatever. We shot it. They shot like the first half of the movie one Christmas, and then the following year they shot the rest of it over the Christmas break in like 2 weeks. But the funny thing is, some kids grow quite a bit in a year. So you would see some of the kids matured quite a bit. One of the older girls, who I think was like 15 or 16, she went from like 14 to 15, and that was enough to make her lose a lot of the baby fat on her face and stuff like that. And she like her face slimmed up and stuff. So so you shoot movies out of sync, and so I think she changed a little bit. Some of the other kids, they changed a little bit, just because a year changes a lot in kids. Even some of the older boys that went from like head, looking at eye level with some people, like a year later they're like looking down at them because they're 6 inches taller. Funny. But the movie was based on a shoestring of a budget. I did only year 2, and I did the movies, and it was a cute story. And it's by no means anything, I don't think, that's going to win like major awards or anything, but it was a cute story, and it was cast out of his students. And he does a lot of things for his students. His name is Ken, and he really does care about the experience and stuff of acting and helping his students. And he would have them, as he was doing things, he'd say, now say this line this way, now say it this way, now say it this way. And he's only going to use 1 or 2 of those as real consideration, but he's giving them an opportunity, since they have a camera on them with an entire crew there recording, to have their chance on camera and to say things different ways. And so it was pretty cool, because some of the people in his school, some of the actors went on, like one of them was in Hunger Games, played, I think, Snow, the main character, what's his name, Donald Sutherland, I think. He played Snow. I think it was his granddaughter who was eating, she was like one of the elves. Anyway, my oldest daughter was an elf in a scene. They were like, he was casting people, his students, but I had my daughter, she wasn't doing anything, and I said, "You want to be an elf?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So she came in, and she was laying down in a long line of elves, laying down on the ground, sleeping while they were sneaking around. And so she happened to be on camera, and when some of the actors, they woke up the elves, and the elves sit up and they look around, and she was one of the ones that was like practically framed off camera, because, she was there, but she was by no means the priority, because she wasn't one of the acting students. But she did that. And then I think she also went on, and she was in an episode of Sleepy Hollow, season 2, I believe. And she did a couple scenes in a classroom for school. She had a day off from school, and so she went in for that. And then when I was on Stranger Things season 2, both my oldest and my middle daughter, they came out there, and they were dressed up in 80s style, and they were attending the school, and both of them were cut. One of them was like the kids were all outside. This is the school, and it was about the time that they were doing they were wearing Ghostbusters outfits and stuff. But when we shot it, one of my daughters was sitting right behind those actors. When they turn around and we look back at them, that she was sitting in a bunch of people right behind the actors, but they were so far out of focus you couldn't even see her. And then my other daughter, the closest she had to being on camera was at the very beginning of the scene. She was the person that walked through all the major kid actors and walked into the school. But of course, what did they do in post? They did a pre-lap of that line. So you'd see the actor on the screen from the scene that was finishing, and you'd hear the next line of that scene, while it was hanging on the person. And they used that as the dialogue for the next scene to pull you in there. And they did that. So by the time they cut in, you see the door closing, and my daughter had just walked through. It's like, oh, come on, you're not going to be put over there. It was like a year and a half or something like that later. And I went to both my girls and I said, yeah, both of y'all ended up on the cutting room floor. That's the way it is in the film industry. Sorry. So anyway, okay. But no, I have never taken my kids to shoots. They've always been brought by other people. Okay, Matt Perez asks, what is one piece of advice you would give a young sound mixer who wants to make a career out of this? Okay. If you go to soundspeeds.us, there is a link to an AES, Audio Engineering Society Atlanta chapter, live stream that I was a guest in. Glenn True, the owner of True Audio, says, near the very beginning, and I nodded, a lot of people nodded, if you have money on your show to hire one experienced person on your sound team, hire an experienced boom operator. Most of the dialogue that makes it in the movie will be on the boom. It'll be and you want to have the person that operates the boom be the most experienced person if you can only hire one. I've been on shows before where I was the sole, I did like an infomercial, and I was out there and I put wireless on them and I was mixing it. And then something happens and the air goes completely black. It's like if you scan the air, everything is spiked out. I have no signal, even with the receivers only 3 feet away from the transmitters. It wasn't working. I don't know what, but we were right across from the CDC, and we think something happened, and they just blocked all the airwaves. I don't know why, but we had no signal. And so what I did is I grabbed a boom, I threw a microphone on that, and I said, who wants to be the sound mixer? And they were all kind of looking at me. No one wanted to volunteer. And finally, I looked at him, and I said to an electrician, would you be willing to just press the record button? He's like, sure. So I set the gain. I did everything like that with my boom. He sat down, he pressed the record button, and I boomed the scene. And I swung between two people, and I did everything. And then I boomed the next scene, and I finished the day out by booming it. In that case, the sound mixer was the least experienced person. Now, if you are fairly green, if you are a young sound mixer, what I would say is try to get the most experienced boom operator you can. The most experienced sound utility you can if you have a 3-person team. The reason I say that is because if you have an experienced team, they will make you look good, or better yet, sound good. If you're fairly young, that would be the best advice I could give you, is to get yourself as experienced of a team as you can get. That will help you tremendously. And the reason why is because there's the boom operator. Here's the thing, and I was explaining this the other day. I'll say it again because I don't remember where I was talking about this. Oh, it might have been Twitter. If you watch a movie, the camera may be smooth on a dolly track and push in and everything. They may go into a steady cam. They may go handheld and chase and run around, and camera shaking all over the place, and then they can't focus on anything and whatever. And people will watch it and say, wow, that was such a creative decision. That was such an energy-packed, action-packed scene. I'm like, all it was shaking. They had like a 70 mil lens, and they were chasing someone, and so it was shaking all over the place, and it wasn't framed right, and because the camera operator was so tired at that point and everything looked completely jumbled and crazy. But yet, everyone looks at it and says, that's a creative decision. That was brilliant. We love every bit of that. Now, as long as you are recording tracks and the gain is set properly, is it a creative decision if I put a scratchy lav on somebody? The lav is scratching around. Is that a creative decision? No. How about if I boom off axis with a microphone? No. The fact of the matter is the expectations of the sound department are the same at every single level. It doesn't matter if you're working on a $200 million budget movie or if you are working on the smallest indie that's not even able to afford you and pay you anything. The expectations of the sound department are the exact same. It has to be low noise. It has to be basically a great signal to noise ratio. You need to have the microphones as close as possible for the coverage or very close. You want to have a very good signal on that. You want to have low noise in the background. You cannot have lav scratch. Microphones have to be on axis. They have to be recorded clean. That's it, plain and simple. You cannot expect to do anything as a sound person if you do not meet those minimum expectations. It is not like camera, where if you shake the thing around, if I have my microphone up there and I just decide to start shaking it around, is this a creative decision I'm making? No. Shaking around and hearing rattle out of a microphone is not a creative decision. It is a very bad decision. It doesn't add anything to it. It's not like, visually, we have to follow different rules. So I can't get away with that with a microphone. Camera can get away with it with the camera. My point here is get yourself the very best boom operator and sound utility you can. They will make you look and sound great. And trust them. If you have a good team, trust them. Now, don't be afraid to throw out suggestions every now and then, but if you start to dictate to them, there have been many times I've been very strong on set and been told, we need to get these tracks and we need to do it really well and push for this and push for that. I'm like, okay, no problem. And then the sound mixer starts dictating to me. Alan, you need to do this. Alan, you need to say this. Alan, you need to do whatever else. Guess what happens? I shut down. Can't help it. I'm going to shut down if you start dictating at me, because nothing I say is going to make you happy. Nothing I do is going to make you happy because you're going to want me to use your words. If you don't trust me enough to run your set, that's what the boom operator does, is run the set. If you don't trust me to run your set, fine, you tell me what you want me to say and do. And I'll just be a little reiterating, parrot. I'll just parrot everything you say, sound mixture says they want this. Fine. And I'll just do that, and you will see me become very passive and just not interested. I will quite literally be sitting there, and I'll watch the lighting and stuff like that, but my effort is going to be very low if you squash that out of me by dictating too much. And I've had mixers do that, and I've had other mixers I butt heads with just because, for whatever, they'll say they trust me, but their actions don't show that to me. So, best note for a sound department from the higher ups is no notes. Yeah. Whenever they don't say, oh, we had the boom in the frame on scene 62, Bravo, take 4. Okay, well, sorry. I did a movie, and it took me 2 weeks to get into the frame. I was still booming everything. I was still doing everything I possibly could, but it took me 2 weeks before I got into the frame. And we weren't rehearsing. We weren't doing any of the sort. We weren't even bringing out the actors for rehearsal. The actors would go through hair, makeup, and wardrobe. As soon as they would come to set, they'd say, okay, let's roll. And we're like, well, are we going to rehearse or anything like that? No. The actors will find it. They'll discover it in this take. Cameras didn't know what they were doing. I would ask them, and they'd be like, we're just going to find it. And at one point, they saw me in a reflection. There was no way for me on this one set. There were so many obstacles, so many reflections all over the place, and camera movements were not even planned. So I just went for it. And I went someplace, and then the camera turns around and they start looking right into a glass that reflects me. And I'm like, great, brilliant. I see this. And then afterwards, you would swear that like I had insulted the UPM's mom or something because they got all worked up. And the DP went straight to my sound mixer and was just like, we saw Alan in the reflection. And he just turned and said, he's been here for 2 weeks. It's the first time you've seen anything. We haven't rehearsed the scene. The actors didn't know what they were doing. Y'all don't bother organizing or planning out your moves or anything like that. He wasn't trying to. He just, he made it in the shot because, it's going to happen every now and then under these circumstances. You've been shooting your own cameras for the past, since we started the show. And he was just like, okay, fair point. And he turns and walks away. It was like after my mixer basically said, you've been shooting your own cameras, and at that point it was like, okay, fair point. And he basically left. I mean, it was like, you go to complain to the sound mixer or whatever else. It's not like the first take I'm in the shot and they say, get out of the shot. And the second take I'm in the shot and they say, Alan, get out of the shot. Third take. It's not like that. It took me 2 weeks to get in the shot. And it was because every single day we didn't bother prepping anything. We didn't bother rehearsing anything. And the actors were kind of discovering everything on the fly there. Sometimes they would pre-plan some things with each other, but no, we just kind of went on the flow and we're like, okay, well, those are your marks. Have at it. Let's see what happens. Anyway, it's crazy. To demonstrate Alan's point, when he chose to rattle his microphone, I had subscribed to his channel. So happy I could help, buddy. Oh, that's funny. Well, obviously he resubscribed again because he's gone through the 5 minutes of wait time in order to make his comment. So there you go. Thanks for resubscribing there, American Liberty. See, a Ringe could never say that. You're right. A Ringe could never say it. Actually, you know what? A Ringe probably could. A Ringe would be awesome. All right. Well, any other questions or anything else? If not, then I'm going to go ahead and call the stream. Obviously, it's been fun. I hope to finish some more in the pilot class, and I don't want to say I have some quick and down and easy, dirty or whatever videos coming up. But what I will say is that after that Deity BPTRX, I'm not looking to edit a whole lot for the next couple of weeks because I also have I have 2 more reviews right now of products I need to review. One of them sent it to me last year during the shutdown. Somebody commented and said, hey, would you review this? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm not reviewing anything right now. And we're shut down. And they sent it to me and I just could not for the life of me get that video done. And part of the reason is because I wanted to do it's 2 microphones in a kit. And I was not able to leave the house at the time to go out and record. And I wanted to do some stereo recordings to show what it would be like. And then it just didn't happen. So I need to finish that review too. But right now I got the K-Tech video. That's the next review I'm going to be doing. And I so am looking forward to that video. Anyway, thank you for the stream, even if I only caught the end of it. Hey, Matt, you can always go back and watch it from the beginning. There is 2 hours and 48 minutes and 4 seconds as of now to watch. So anyway, I will go ahead and call it there. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate every single one of you. And again, thank you for the donations. Again, thank you for all the likes. We have 16 people in here and 15 likes. That's awesome. And y'all have a great time with the rest of your evening. Thank you very much for everything and for joining. And I will try to do another one of these streams here very soon. All right. Y'all take care.